Group of yoga experts here. Today we have Natalie Olvin with us from Small World Yoga, and she has a few of our students, and they're going to be working on some yoga with us today. She is one of our partners from our Power Monday enrichment morning time that we have at our school every month, and so she's been volunteering with our students, and you'll be able to see the fruits of their labor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. One thing I did want you guys to know also is Whitsit is amazing with letting us do yoga each Power Monday. But we've also been this summer training 65 high school teachers with Metro Nashville schools, and they've got 11 hours of certified yoga experience to bring back to their classrooms. So we've been working on that a couple of Fridays this month, and McGavick has let us host it there. So it's good things in yoga land. Thanks for having us. So guys, let's begin a cross-legged position. Hands on your knees, palms up towards the ceiling, right? Closing your eyes. And just begin to let it go, okay? Think of something really positive today. And just close your eyes and just focus on that, okay? So closing your eyes. And just begin to inhale a little deeper each time, okay? So inhaling for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and then sigh it out. Okay. We're going to do that a couple more times. Inhale in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sigh it out. Now this time we're going to add on, and you can look at me real quick, but we're going to do lion's breath that you guys love, and these people are going to laugh, okay? All right, so we're going to inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can be crazy and go, okay? It gets out all the toxins, all the toxins. All right, so inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lion's breath. Nice, okay? Now look at one of you guys and do it, okay? So inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and look at someone, and then exhale, lion's breath. You guys do it better when people aren't watching you, believe me, all right? And let's take it to our hands and knees. We're going to warm up the spine, warm up our hips. So hands and knees pose, we're going to end up in cat-cow. You guys know cat-cow. So cat-cow, hands and knees. You guys got it. And we're going to inhale, drop the belly, look up toward the front of the room, and then exhale, curling up like a cat. So just getting that spine. Right, so you're going to look down. Yes. All right, so we're going to try it again. So inhale, look up, drop the belly. Exhale, folding in like a cat. We're going to try it with a moo and a meow, okay? All right, so inhale, moo. Exhale, curling in like a cat. Meow. Way more vocal on Power Mondays, guys. Way more vocal. I think you guys are a little nervous. Okay, stand up. Let's get moving. All right. Inhale, mountain pose. You guys know mountain pose, right? Take opposite wrist, so take right hand to left wrist, and then just do a side body stretch over this way. Nice. Yes, you're getting in that spine and that side body. Excellent. Coming back up to center, switch wrists, and we'll go this way. All right. And then inhale, come back to center. Let's try it one more time, okay? Exhale, this side body. Very nice. Inhale, back up. Exhale, all the way back over. And then find your partner, all right? Find your partner. Do you want to be my partner? Come on. All right. That way we have an even number. And we're going to go into dancer pose. So remember, it's crisscross hands and then the foot on the outside, okay? So right hand to right hand. Excellent. Ground down through your right foot. Inhale, picking up the left foot. And then push into your friend. They're there for support, right? We're going to breathe here for 3, 2, you guys got it, 1, and then shake it out, get all the wiggles out, right? And then we'll switch sides, all right? So do we do this hand? Okay. So make sure you've got support from your buddy. Inhale in, and we're gonna hold here for 3. Whoa, it's okay to wobble. 3, 2, 1. All right, now staying with your partner. Actually, everybody go ahead and face these lovely people, okay? They're here tonight to watch you. You can go on to your mat. And then see if you can put your hand up against your buddy next to you. So you want to be close enough to where you can push into their hands, okay? And we're going to push into our friend's hand and find tree pose on the right side. Tree pose. So you want the kickstand or the calf. And then release from your friend and grow your branches, all right? We're going to hold here for 3. If you fall out of it, it's okay. So 3 deep breaths. 2 more breaths. You guys got it. 1 more deep breath. And then exhale, shake it out. Okay? Same thing. So every story has 2 sides. Your body has 2 sides too, right? Okay, so ground down. And we'll take tree on the left side. All right? Your left foot. Kickstand. All right? Find your buddy. Same thing, just different side. Excellent. And then release from your friend, find your balance, grounding down, inhale, and then look up, find your drishti, your gaze, all the way over these people. That's gonna help their balance, okay? And just for fun, let's sway to the right and see if you can hold on to it, okay? And then sway to the left. Now sway forward. Now close your eyes and see how it may just be a little more difficult, right? Awesome. All right, we're gonna take eagle pose. So eagle, go ahead and do mountain pose again. Remember, we always come back to mountain. And then right under left. Excellent. Now take your right leg over your left. Very nice. Beautiful. And you wanna squeeze, helping that heart, helping your lungs, right? So hold it here for a couple more breaths. And if you fall out of it, just get back into it. It's fine. All right? Now let's do something even more fun. Go ahead and with your eagle arms, come into airplane. Okay, you guys love that one. Yes, beautiful. Right, so finding that balance. Now let's try eagle on the left. Okay, so mountain pose again, left under right, and then left leg over right this time, okay? Inhale, exhale, airplane. Right, so it's like a dance. It's like one movement into the next, right? Beautiful. I love it. All right, so you guys can face me, and we'll go through one sun salutation, okay? So inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Yep, all the way down. I'll do it with you. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, come into that high plank that we did earlier, okay? You know it. Okay, inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And then just get on your knees. So we're gonna come down to our mat. We're gonna do a couple heart openers, okay? Helping our lungs, helping our heart. So take your hands toward the middle of your upper back, and you're gonna look up, shine your heart up to the ceiling, and just see if you can do a tiny little back bend, and then come right back up, okay? We're gonna do that a couple more times. Expanding our hearts, right? Okay, inhale, look up. Exhale, bring it back, and come back. And the next time, we're gonna see if we can grab our heels, okay? You wanna try? Okay, inhale, look up. Exhale, coming back. You guys can do it. You can push up on your heels. And then come all the way back, okay? So go ahead and get on your back. Go ahead and lay on your back. All right? So one of the things we're gonna focus on today is just being mindful and listening. So again, go back to that final thing that where we began with, a positive thing.
What's that?
It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Close your eyes, okay? And then take your palms up toward the ceiling. Yeah, and that's all you have to do. This is called Shavasana. It's a surrendering, strengthful, like strong pose. So it's really good for you. Go ahead and take your hands to the floor. That's all you have to do. You're still working, right? And we're gonna do a couple more breathing exercises. So inhale in, exhale out. Let's do one more inhale and then exhale through your mouth this time. Inhale, closing your eyes, exhale. So when you guys have tests and stuff, this is really good to get your breathing and your blood pressure back down. And you can do this even just sitting like I am. But you can close your eyes and then come back to that breath, okay? All right, let's do it again. Inhale in. Exhale, sigh it out. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. And then as slow as you can, come back to a cross-legged position. So you guys are going to be facing me. You guys got this. You know what we do. Cross-legged. Come on up. All right. We're just going to do some stretches real quick. So inhale up. Right. We're going to come back to that wrist thing all the way over to this side. We're going to hold it a little longer this time. So it's sort of like a half moon, but you're seated. And then come back to center on your inhale. Exhale all the way over. Beautiful. And coming back to center. And then just place your hands on your knees. We're going to do some shoulder rolls. So one to the left, one to the right. And then you want to bring it up the other way too. So in front, right? Getting out all the kinks. And then take your head to the right. All the way to chin to chest. All the way over. Let's do that one more time. Chin to chest. All the way over. Coming back. And then finding that stillness again. So closing your eyes. See, we do the work, heart rate goes up, then we slow it down, finding stillness, okay? So it's up and down, up and down. All right, let's close our eyes. You can have your palms up toward the ceiling. And we're gonna just stay here for like 1 minute and just think of all good things. Finding your breath. Finding that peace. And when you're ready, just slowly opening your eyes, looking right in front of you, finding one point to focus on. And then inhale your hands to heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. The light in me sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. Hey. Good job. Thank you.
Great job.
Yay! Good job. We'll just put him over there, okay? There's more.
In the pledge.
If we stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we will start with 30 seconds in my district. And Ms. Pierce, if we can start on your side this time.
We've had some exciting news in the Hillsborough cluster over the past couple weeks with the announcements of some new principal leadership. At Weston Middle, we are welcoming Dr. Russell Young, who is coming to us as being the assistant principal at Hunters Lane over the IB program. So the Weston Middle community is really excited to have someone come to their school with that IB experience. And we will be able to meet Dr. Young on Thursday, July 13th, so in just 2 days at 5 o'clock at the school. He also lives in our district, has children in the district, and we're just really excited to welcome him. Just a couple blocks over at Aiken Elementary, we'll be welcoming Dr. Matthew Nelson as the new principal there, and we will have an opportunity to meet him on Monday, July 17th at 5 o'clock, and he has been over our advanced academics, so they're very excited to have him. Dr. Craig Hammond, the outgoing principal of Weston Middle, will still be very involved as the EDSSI in the Hillsborough area. We're thrilled about that, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Ms. Hunter.
I would like to give an update on our new principal leaderships, but I'm going to wait to the next meeting because we've had some changes. Thank you.
Ms. Berry.
Thank you. Last night, we were able to meet our new principal at Amqui Elementary. LaToya Cobb is our new principal, and Joey Mitchell is our new assistant principal. And I see Pippa Merriweather just came in, and I want to thank Pippa for doing such a great job last night as she conducted that meeting, and it was well attended, and we're excited about a great year. Thank you.
Ms. Brooke.
Well, I guess I'm going to continue the theme, and I wanted to welcome two new principals to my district. We have a new principal at Big Picture High School, Brenda Diaz, who comes to us from Memphis, where she was an instructional facilitator and principal with Shelby County Schools. And we also have Carrie Jones at H.G. Hill Middle School. She is moving up from assistant principal to principal, and she has worked in our district since 2001 as a teacher and literacy coach prior to becoming an assistant principal. So we are very excited about those new appointments and look forward to working with them. Thanks.
Dr. Bannon. And I am one. Several years ago, the Hip-D community started a farmer's market held every Friday night from 4 to 7 at the corner of Lebanon Road and Old Lebanon Dirt Road. And this year, because of the generosity of Hip-D, they provide meals for our needy students and their families every night from 4 to 7 at Fat Bites, which is on the same parking lot as the farmer's market. So primarily these students come from the Two Rivers area, school and area. So please spread the word that if we have needy families, and we do have needy families in that community, that they can eat either for free or very reduced at the Hip-D Farmers Market. So I want to give a huge thank you to Frank True and Hip-D for providing that service for the students who are needy. So it is good. So we'll move on to and the good news is, Ms. Spearing.
Yes, we had the fortunate opportunity tonight to be engaged with some yoga instruction. I don't know about you, but I'm breathing a little more deeply. We heard from Dr. Uppinghouse from Whitsitt, thank you, and also from Natalie Alvin. From Small World Yoga. We loved seeing the students all from Whitsitt this afternoon. I'll get it in a minute. And Small Yoga World is committed to inspiring growth and connection and possibility by increasing access to yoga in our community. Natalie is the Small World Yoga's relationship manager. And this is a quote from her. "This is the best job I've ever had because every single day someone is having a better day just because of breathing." Isn't it true that we get so busy sometimes we forget to breathe? It's all about taking time for yourself and finding peace, making the world a better place because of it. It's a true joy to see the benefits in yoga in our community, whether young or old. So I just want to say thank you to Natalie for the work that you're doing at Whitsitt and other schools in Metro. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spearing. We will move on to public participation. We have only 3 people that are on the agenda tonight, and the board will hear from these people who have requested to appear at the board meeting. In the interest of time, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less, and we will time your remarks. So the first person is Thomas Weber.
My name is T.C. Weber. I'm the father of 2 at Tusculum Elementary School. And the reason I'm here today is because I wanted to take the time to do something that nobody else seems to be willing to do. And I would like to, I don't know if there's any parents who signed the letter out there behind me, but I would like to take a minute and say, I acknowledge that charter school parents are concerned about the way they're treated in the district. I acknowledge that it's a hard decision about where to send your kid to school. And we all make them for multiple reasons. Many of the reasons we make those choices for are because of the current situation. And instead of spending time bashing and attacking each other, we should spend time figuring out exactly why it is these parents have made those choices. We also need to keep in mind that charter schools didn't suddenly, and my position on this is fairly well known. I've been in this fight as long as anybody in this room and longer than some of the more vocal warriors. But we need to acknowledge the fact that charter schools didn't suddenly spring up like Amazon and suddenly start selling people stuff with no taxes. They were all approved by this board, okay? every one of the board, when a board approves a charter school, they are intrinsically saying, this is a viable choice for you to make. We also have to recognize we have a choice situation. And when you make that choice, there are consequences. If you leave your zone school for another zone school, you are creating the same inequities behind as you would if you chose a charter school or to homeschool or to go to private school. So instead of trying to eradicate one avenue, we should be looking at ways that we can make our whole system more equitable, because it's not equitable now, okay? It's kind of, I have a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old, and many of you parents can relate. You know, we drive down the road and it's a constant barrage of, but he said, but she did this first. Well, he did that. That's what this all feels like. And it's never ending until, I don't care who did what, when, where, or why. I just want it to stop so we can proceed on our day, so we can make things better for everybody. And that's the same way this situation has gotten. So again, I was going to say something also real quickly about STEM prep, and they're on the look at that, 27 seconds. They're on the agenda today to be approved for a newcomer academy. I wish that you would pull that off the consent agenda and rework it so that they are coordinated through the ELL department instead of through the charter office. I think that our ELL does such good work that we need to support that work instead of having two separate tracks. And if you haven't looked what they've done with summer school this year, please do. They've done an amazing summer school. Thank you. And sorry I went over. I'm usually better.
Angel Carter.
I'm Angel Carter from Vanderbilt Children's Hospital in Project Adam, Middle Tennessee. Project Adam is a national nonprofit organization that started in 1999 when a 17-year-old high school boy by the name of Adam collapsed in the middle of a basketball game, and there was no AED available in the gym. And so that began Project Adam. He died from sudden cardiac arrest, which is a sudden and unexpected disturbance in the heart's electrical system, which makes the heart quiver. That causes ineffective pumping of the blood, and the victim collapses suddenly. Death quickly follows unless the normal heart rhythm is restored by an AED. An AED, as you know, is an automatic electronic device, defibrillator that shocks the heart and puts an electrical current back in and trying to restore the rhythm. Statistically, there are 1,000 sudden cardiac arrest victims per year in the United States, and 3 of these are children every day. State of Tennessee, for the year of 2015, there were 14 deaths in children ages 1 to 9, and there were 291 deaths in adults ages 20 to 39. And if you think about that's the bulk of the age population that's walking around on our campuses. So sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 cause of death on school campuses and the #1 killer of student athletes. Legislation, Tennessee has really good legislation. We had AED legislation since 2009. And then in July of 2016, they took it one step further by decreeing that schools with AEDs conduct annual AED training and CPR AED drills. Metro has done a fabulous job in assuring that AEDs are available, accessible, and well-maintained. So what Project Adam would like to do, we're new in the Middle Tennessee area. We'd like to partner with you to support your preparedness efforts and take them even further, because an AED doesn't really equal a save. The AED could be locked up in a gym or a closet. The staff might not know where the AED is, or they might not know how to respond because there haven't been drills done. So what are the benefits to you for partnering with Project Adam? #1, it's free. Free. We do live sudden cardiac arrest presentations. We support your ongoing efforts in teaching CPR classes. We help individualize your cardiac emergency response plans and teams per building, and we can help you achieve the Heart Safe School designation. Right now, we have 4 counties, Williamson, Dixon, Sumner, and Clarksville-Montgomery, who have all achieved this designation. So the ask tonight is to endorse Project Adam's involvement in Metro Nashville Public Schools, connect us with individual schools, and then invite us to meet with your student-led groups such as the HOSA clubs, because wouldn't that be cool if we could get them involved in getting us to this Heart Safe School designation. So currently, 9 out of 10 sudden cardiac arrest victims die. If we work together to create a culture of staff, students, and bystanders, that increases to 4 out of 10. And wouldn't that be way better? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. And Kwanzaa Walker? And I'm sure I butchered your first name. I apologize.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. My name is Quaisha Walker, and my address is 529A South 7th Street in Nashville. Today, I'm here to talk to you about what quality education means to me. Let me give you a little history of myself and my educational background. When I was born, I was placed in foster care and stayed until I aged out at 18. I was raised in Williamson County, where then the schools were the best. I graduated high school in 2004, and even when I was told that I would never graduate or amount to anything. Shortly after I graduated, my daughter was born. I knew I wanted my daughter to have a great education like I did, but I knew I could not afford to live in Williamson County. When I researched her zone school, I realized that it was not the best fit for her. The school she currently attends, I found by fluke. There was no option to tour the school, but the curriculum they were offering fit my daughter's needs the best. This was the first time I had heard about charter schools. I had no clue what they were, but the type did not matter. It was the quality of education that was going to be offered to my child. So I stepped out on faith and signed my daughter, Naomi, up to attend Nashville Classical Charter School. During the third year of attendance at Nashville Classical, I was introduced to Nashville Rise, a parent advocacy organization that empowers parents. The mission of Nashville Rise aligned with some of the same things I wanted for my daughter's education. Through Nashville Rise, I have learned how to build a strong relationship with my child's teacher and how to explain to her school her individual learning style. I've also learned that here in Davidson County, there are many different school options and that parents have a voice and say in where their children go to school. Members of the board, as a Nashville Rise parent, I am not here to point the finger or place blame. I am simply asking that you come meet with us so we can discuss what we can do to help you and what you can do to help us. So in closing, I have only one question for the board. Think of the lowest performing school. Would you send your child to that school, or would you send your child to a higher performing school? Thank you.
We'll move on to governance issues and the consent agenda. Ms. Spearing?
Yes, thank you.
I do want to pull.
Go ahead, yeah.
I would just ask that we pull 1G5 for discussion.
Thank you.
Ms. Pierce?
Uh-huh.
I would like to pull 1F.
1F, okay. Thank you. And I'm pulling 1G4, 6, and H for discussion. Anybody else? Okay. The consent agenda reads as follows. 1A, recommended approval of change order number 1 for Hillsborough High School renovations, Southland Constructors Incorporated. B, recommended approval of change order number 1 for McMurray Middle School additions and renovations, Orion Building Corporation. C, recommended approval of change order number 2 for East Nashville High School Stadium improvement, Romac Incorporated. D, recommended approval of supplement number 3 for professional services contract for facility conditions assessment and master planning services, MGT Consulting of America Incorporated. E, recommended approval of requests for projects at various schools, including Glencliff Elementary School, for their kitchen hood replacement, Bomar Construction Company. We're going to skip F. G, awarding of purchases and contracts. 1, Five Stones Research Corporation. 2, Gallup, Inc. 3, Rycole USA, Inc. And then we're going to go to 7, Vanderbilt Peabody Research Institute. 8, Vanderbilt University Center for Science Outreach. 9, Vanderbilt University Center of Science and Math. I, approval of special courses. J, approval of textbook adoption, fundamentals of firefighter skills, and exercise physiology, an integrated approach. And K, resolution to establish an updated occupational safety and health program plan, devise rules and regulations, and to provide for a safety director and the implementation of such program plan. This concludes the reading of the consent agenda. Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Can I get a second? All in favor, show of hands.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, not show of hands.
Oh.
Okay, all right. So we will go ahead and discuss the items that were pulled. We'll start with Amy. You had the G5.
Yes, so I had just had some questions about the TFA contract. It appears that we are amending the contract, an existing contract, which now I've lost, I'm sorry, with a relatively minor amount. But I guess my concern, so let's see, I'm so sorry, hold on one second. I had it pulled up until we voted, and now I'm thrown off. But I guess my question is, we're adding only some $3,000 to an existing contract for services that are already being rendered by TFA, and also who is receiving the training? Are we offering that to all teachers, or is that for TFA recruits? So I guess we'll start there, and I'll find the contract.
Sure, and I'll ask Dr. Narcisse to come up. You're correct, this is an amendment to the existing contract with Teach for America. It does increase compensation by almost $91,000.
Okay.
And it's for to support the 2017 summer school program for new MNPS teacher candidates. So I'll ask Dr. Narcisse to respond to the questions.
Yeah, we're also providing training and also non-MNPS teacher mentors to the teachers. So trying to make sure that was a part of the contract for that addition.
Right, to non-teacher mentors.
Yeah, so they wanted to make sure they had mentors for the teachers that are pre-existing. As you know,
Okay.
Teach for America are many brand new to teaching, and so that was a part of that contract.
So we are paying TFA to train both their new teachers and also our mentors that will oversee their work?
Correct, because they are also part of our pipeline work. Our goal is to make sure that they go into, as a part of our retention strategy, into our teaching workforce, which you'll also find out that we're trying to make sure that they stay within our system.
Okay. I guess my concern is, first of all, and I know this is an existing contract that we're amending, but why TFA is not training its own, paying to train its own teachers if we're using those teachers? And I know that may be a question that you can't answer. But second of all, I think if we are, I think if we're offering any sort of training, it really should be done by highly qualified teachers. And so, this is something I would like to see us build capacity to handle in the future, so that we don't have teachers who have not gone through teacher training programs training our new teachers of wherever they're coming from. So I don't know if you had a response for that.
But we're partnering and working with them through creating a pipeline as a part of that work. We've been kind of in discussions with them about all the components of the teaching, not just from their work, but also from our work as well. One of the big things is making sure that we can create pipelines for them to become teachers within our system. And so your point is taken.
Okay. Is this something we are planning to continue in the future? Or is this, were we doing this right now because we don't have enough teachers? Or is this something we would like to work our way out of so that we're offering our own?
Yeah, our strategy is to make sure we kind of partner with them as part of our construct to make sure that we can be able to have them as a part of our retention pipeline. We get a percentage of teachers from TFA, and we don't have enough teachers for our summer programs, and so this is one of the strategies that we're using.
Okay, but are we planning to create our own pipeline for the teachers for the
to
summer
answer your
program?
question, yes.
Okay, and is this typically done by TF everywhere? They're having the school districts pay to train their recruits?
Yes, this is not a brand-new strategy. It is used in a lot of other places.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question? Is the way I read the contract and understand is this was not just simply TFA training MNPS teacher recruits, but it's rather running our summer school program with over 425 students.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's a service that they've already rendered.
Correct.
From this summer. So it's been teaching children this summer.
Okay, I'm confused. Thank you for saying that. So this contract is to train teachers or for teachers to work with students? Would you help me understand that, Cito?
It's actually both.
It's both. Okay.
I had the pleasure of visiting one of the programs at, I don't remember which school it was, but it is the Teachers in Training, and they're teaching the children in summer school.
TFA Teachers in Training.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching the students in summer school.
They're getting their training to become teachers for us.
Okay. And it's not MNPS teachers separate from TFA, is that correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, okay.
And also, I believe this is the first year that we are making an investment financially because we've expanded the program. I think in the past it's just been 2 schools or 2, and this time it's 3.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. And they've had other sponsors to foot the bill in the past. But in order to grow, we needed to make an investment.
So this is the first time we've done this?
To my knowledge, yes.
And
Not do the training, but make a financial investment.
The summer schools were effective, and they wanted to expand, and we wanted them to expand to serve more of our children. And so we then encumbered some part of the cost.
Okay, and will we be able to hear the outcome of this experience to see how the teachers have performed, and also the retention rate of TFA teachers?
Yes, we will have that part of their process because they also have received some external funding to help support a service that we need they have an evaluation component to that.
It'd also be great to get the results on the students.
It's a part of the evaluation.
Anybody else on this? Okay. We'll move on to the items that Ms. Beard.
Do we need to
We'll
vote on
all
that?
of them,
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
okay.
Okay, let's see, we're going to start with STEM Prep Academy. We have an outstanding EL program, and we also have a newcomers academy in metro schools. I was able to visit STEM Prep Academy a few years ago, and I asked to see at that time the assessment that was used to rate students on language acquisition. And I was surprised at the time to see that the assessment was reading in English, and which I found odd because you think of newcomers as not know English. And then I found out that that the Newcomers Academy actually doesn't have that many, I don't know how many, well, I'll ask that question, but newcomers, most of our students at STEM Prep are at levels 4 and 5 in language acquisition. I know that that there are some changes that are being made that will give us more specifics about how the STEM prep will be utilized in the future, using more students who actually are newcomers. I just want to say that our EL program has, with Metro Schools, has received state recognition. We have received recognition from the Council of Great City Schools, and I do want to ensure that we continue to look at what we're doing in Metro Schools and ensure that that is not being watered down. So my questions. First question is exactly what is the definition of a newcomer? Is Dennis here?
Mr. Queen is here, Dr. Narcisse is here, and of course, Dr. McGrainer from STEM Prep is actually here as well, so if we wanted to utilize her.
Thank you.
Yeah, the question, newcomers are considered students who are in the country with less than 1 year.
Less than 1 year, okay. And as for Dr. McGrainer, what is the goal that STEM Prep is trying to, what strategy is STEM Prep attempting to prove or to say that it works better than other programs?
Before I answer that question, I just want to say thank you to Madam Chair and members of the board. Your leadership in support and advocacy for all of our immigrant and refugee students has made a significant difference in our city, especially this past academic year where our kids experienced quite a bit of turmoil as a result of their background. So relative to your support of resolutions, making our classrooms welcoming, relative to your advocacy for additional resources, as an educator, someone who's done this in our public schools for 15 years, I just want to say thank you. To answer the questions that I think are very good ones, and as an educator, you yourself know, serving our English learners is not a linear process. It's incredibly complex. The kids who we're serving, you're right that they're currently in 2017 at a level 4 or 5. That's not the level they were performing at upon their start in the program. There are several different assessments that we use that are nationally recognized and used by states and districts around the country, who we look to in support of our program and the work that we were doing in collaboration with the district over the last couple of years. The students who are enrolled in our program are from over 20 different countries, some of whom are very, very new arrivals, fleeing persecution, and are held safe here in our city and in all of our schools. So I would say that from a student background characteristics perspective, students who are enrolled in the program in our building are probably, and I don't have access to all of these data, but I imagine that they're pretty similar to the population at large in the district. Relative to our goals, I would summarize that by saying, one, we want to make sure that these young people are safe and that they feel empowered and that emotionally they're in a good place, which is why we provide mental health counseling to all newcomers and their families, as well as provide financial support for their families to get to our school, as many do not have transportation. So that's the first piece. The second piece of the program is acceleration of language acquisition and development, so that our students can understand the sciences and mathematics and social studies. as well as art and music and computer science that we also provide as part of their program. The final piece of the goal is that we are promoting family stability. Many of our students, like many families in Nashville, they have brothers and sisters in multiple schools. And so we work in partnership with those schools, with counselors in those buildings, and with other support providers to provide a web of support, both academically and non-academically, for those students. So those are the goals of the program.
So Kristen, are you saying that when the students began at STEM, they were in the country less than 1 year?
So the way that enrollment works, because this is a bit of a different animal, if you will, this is a partnership between, or among rather, Metro Nashville Public Schools, the city, who provided financial support for this program in 2015, the mayor and city council, as well as a number of community partners. Relative to enrollment, given it's a partnership, the district identified the students who would most benefit from this program. And so that was an internal district-run process. We were then provided the names of those students who I believe, the district believed, would benefit most from the program.
So in other words, they weren't necessarily level 1 students that had been in they weren't newcomers necessarily. They, of course, this was before this administration, I suspect, arrived. And Dennis, how will it be different going forward?
Can I answer that question? So from my understanding, at the time that the district ran the names for the students who met the criteria to be a part of this program, they were at a level 1 or level 2 at the time that the list was generated. It's a little complex given the assessments that per Title III English learners have to take. Those happen in February-ish. So there's a little bit of a timeline challenge, and that goes for districts nationwide.
Yeah, let me just say that I think of a newcomer with level 1 is someone who has been in the country less than a year. And if we get outside of that parameter, is it really a newcomer's academy? Those are my concerns. And I want to be comparing apples to apples here. And I don't want it to be watered down and confusing.
Yes.
Yes, one of the things we found when we began to look at year 2 was there was a contract developed last year. Again, it was a transition year. There were a number of people who were part of the conversation around this program that left the district. And of course, we had a new director come in, and the charter office had leadership. We found there was a contract that had never evolved into a signed contract. So what we wanted to do in order to give this program an opportunity to demonstrate its effectiveness was to rework a contract. We're asking for a 3-year contract so that we have enough time to compare some data over time. The district is also going to run a parallel analysis of kids that are similar but not in that particular program but are in our traditional schools, so we can determine what the variance of academic achievement will be, to see if we see greater gains in the academy here versus what we see in the school. So we're going to run a comparative study as well, so we can look at that. The students who will be, and I believe Kristen's already been provided with the information of level 1 students. There's a little over 200, I think. I don't have the exact number in the district, the entire district, and they have already started doing home visits because this program is optional, and parents can opt not to be in it, or they can choose to be in it. So her staff is out now currently trying to fill those 100 seats, and the goal is to certainly fill the entire 100 seats. The Office of English Language Learners and an assessment will be monitoring the academic performance measures throughout the year, so the evaluation piece will be performed by the L department and by research, so that we know that there will be quality in what we find. It is true that this program has gotten support from the Metro Council, I think around $750,000 or so, and there's some foundations that have assisted with some after-school support programs as well. And certainly the charter office will be in our our visits that we do in schools, our classroom observations, data conversations in the schools. We'll be having conversations around this program as well. We also will have some representations from the L department who will be coming in and looking and monitoring as we go as part of the evaluation process, since the expertise really is there around supporting L students. But we're looking for a very viable program that meets the needs of newcomers, level 1 particularly, and that we provide the support throughout the year, and that the metrics that we use are considered effective and viable. And again, running a parallel study to see how we see the differences in achievement between students.
So we'll hear more about this 3 years later, or?
We will be looking at it year by year. This actually would be a benchmark year where we will set those metrics, and then we will see where we go in year 2 and 3, and there will be an eventual report that will come out demonstrating the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of the program. But we will also, again, I think part of that report will be the testing group that we're going to run independent of level 1 students in other schools.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess I would have the same concern that we're making sure that we really are targeting the newcomers, and that we're doing it through our own MNPS programs, and that we're making sure that we're not, having a select group of students going to, the school that with needs that are not as great as others. But my other question would be, I guess, I know we had talked about trying to expand the newcomers' work that we're doing here, and I think there's a great need. And so I wonder how much we have looked into what we are able to do through MNPS, because I do think there's a lot of good English learner work in that department going on. And so have we looked at expanding the program through other schools? And I think we talked about this when we approved.
I'm part of a design team. We're currently looking at designing and developing a district newcomers academy. There will be a center. They'll be strategically placed. In fact, we had a very, very productive meeting yesterday around this, and we are using Kristen's program. We've reached out to Cameron, who has a program we don't hear much about, but Cameron's got a newcomers program, and we've invited Tate to be the principal there, to be part of this design team and help us through some of the logistics and perhaps get over some of the hurdles that they had to deal with that we might avoid. But we're using them to help us in designing something for the district itself.
How many schools would we anticipate, or is it just too early to know?
Yeah, so it's too early to talk about how many schools. What the goal of what the center would look like is to kind of create a space where kids who come into our school system, we can do a better job of preparing them before we send them out to their zone schools. And so because the challenge that we have now is kids will get sent out to zone schools and not be prepared with the language acquisition challenge. So one of the part that we've been talking about, which we've partnered with Kristen and a few partners, was to sit down and design what a newcomer center would be. So when a student will come into our school, if we have to keep them at the center to prepare them with basic areas of needs of where they are, then we'll be able to send them to a zone school or to whatever school they go in our system so they can be better prepared to be successful. So that can help. Another strategy that we have to help us around making sure our L students are prepared in the system.
So I know you're in the middle of designing the program, but when might we hear an update on how we plan to expand the program?
And so the goal will be to, the design team will have everything prepared for Dr. Joseph. We're hopeful by September, October. It's something that he has to look at in order to make sure that he decides whether this is something that we'll be bringing to the board to have a discussion about, budget implications, and there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So, but our goal is to bring that to you by the fall.
Matt, let me add, the conversation is very exciting because we're talking about a brief orientation period. When newcomers come in, there's a lot of work to do around some laws as far as immunizations, translating transcripts from other countries, assessing their reading skills, their math level skills. So there's a lot of orientation issues that right now is kind of a burden on the schools. And then we're talking about the academic end of it, that they would transition to where there's some standards-based instruction, connecting them in some interest-based intramural type activities, building partnerships and friendships, bringing the families in at this level and beginning to help them work through the ins and outs of education in this community, and then eventually preparing them to move into the schools with a with a support plan so that we can then meet with the counselors in the schools they will be transitioning to, and we can ease these kids in with a support plan so they're not just kind of put into the school with no support. So the conversation, very exciting and very rich.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, if you want to go on to your next item, Nicole.
The next one is the University of Pittsburgh. And I want to make a request here, and maybe the request should go to CETO, but of course you determined that. The University of Pittsburgh provides a contract for us from for the Institute for Learning, IFL. And this particular contract is for ELA textbooks. But what I would like to ask for is a work session to discuss the variety of literacy contracts that we have right now. It appears that there are, I want to say several, enough that I think we need to be briefed on what they're doing. And what I'd like to know is certainly not now, but the evidence of the success of these various companies. What is the data that shows that they're effective? How much do we pay the consultants? We're getting piecemeal. So if we could see it in one spreadsheet, that would be helpful. What literacy expert in the district is overseeing information that's presented? And the reason I ask this is because I understand from some teachers that they have been receiving some conflicting information from various consultants. So how do we keep that from happening? That's really all I have right now, but just to make that request so that we have a study session so that we can delve into this more deeply.
Okay, we'll definitely look into that.
Thank you. And then my last one. Okay, my last one is revising the calendar, which is H. And I just want to say that I'm really excited about the total solar eclipse. And I support, as an elementary teacher, I support the idea that kids being in school during the eclipse is a wonderful teaching opportunity. But I've just learned, I certainly don't have expertise at the high school level, and I heard from a principal recently that this could be problematic for our high school students. That the eclipse is we're expecting it to go from 11:58 to 2:54, and high school right now dismisses at 2 o'clock. And the total eclipse is supposed to begin at 1:27 and last about 2 minutes. So, Cito, can you explain how we can ensure that our kids are safe and the protocols, and maybe give us some idea about the discussion around this, and just to kind of bring us up to date?
Yeah, so right now, actually, Chris Henson's team with Ken Starks and all the team, we're actually going to be meeting to talk specific logistics for that particular day. It's a process that we're kind of going through right now to kind of tease out, and so we will be able to bring that to you in more detailed information now that we're going to be moving forward with school on that day. And we'll be also communicating out to schools specifically on what steps they'll be taking, whether we decide on moving the schedule and those things, as well as making sure that our families and communities are aware on what the process of that day will be. So.
And I understand that there will not be any repercussions for students whose parents decide that they want to keep their kids home that day and let this be an educational experience that they control.
Yes, we're going to be talking about what is the communication we'll be sending out to families. It will be very detailed with all that information in there.
Okay, on that same topic, so I agree. I think this is a great learning opportunity for students, and also there is a safety concern for many of the students. We don't want children left unsupervised at home looking at the solar eclipse, and I think those are very important. I have had some concerns from a few people about having school that day. First of all, some science teachers have written and they've been upset because they said this is an historic moment and we really would like to have time off to view the eclipse and on our own time. So I was sort of wondering if we could make accommodations for people. I don't think it'd be a huge amount, but for teachers who feel very strongly that this is something that they would like to do on their own time. The other concern that was raised came from high schools, so the eclipse, I believe, is supposed to take place at 1:35, and high schools let out at 2:05, and I've been told, I'm no expert on this, I've been told that students really should be wearing glasses if they're outside for the hour and a half before and the hour and a half after, and so I think we could end up with kind of a disaster at release time if we have, students trying to get out to the bus, and then running in to put glasses up. I'm wondering if we might consider just changing the school day hours on that one particular day so that we make sure everyone is actually in schools during the time it's dangerous to be outside, so that that process can be fully regulated for them.
We are working on a plan.
Okay. I mean, I will vote for having kids in school that day. I just want to make sure that we're offering accommodations for these various concerns that have been raised about the solar eclipse.
Yeah, we're taking all the precautions and we're working on a plan to, they're making sure that we're able to make sure the families are clear about what the process is, communication. So a lot of that is what we're working on right now as we speak. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, I was just going to say, the solar eclipse is August the 21st, and we won't have another meeting until, the 11th of August, or 8th. Will you be able to report back to us the status of it, or probably before that time?
Yeah, we'll share the plan with you for that day. We're going to be, we have an entire communication process that we're going to go through that. Dr. Carlisle is going to make sure that we get out through the entire city, so not just the organization itself.
Ms. Pierce, did you have something?
Just wanted to, I'm sure this is part of your plan, but in the Hillsborough cluster, Weston Middle has planned a major solar eclipse viewing day from 11 to 2 at Elmington Park. I know some of our elementary schools are planning to take buses and go. So I'm assuming that this will be part of the plan on helping those clusters implement this well, because
Yes.
they're so excited about it.
That is correct.
So.
And so I just wanted to set the stage. When Dr. Joseph and I had this conversation, it was more about equity. And we have so many students who, if we close schools, they are at home by themselves without any instruction, without any protection. And if we want to make it, it's great because I know the McGavitt cluster is planning an event as well, and that's fine for those students, but what about the students that don't have those opportunities? And so I advised Dr. Joseph that this is going to be one of those decisions like closing for inclement weather. You're not ever going to get 100% approval. You're going to have 49% of the people that are going to be unhappy no matter what decision you make. So we just, we just made the decision that we thought was best for all students, and then go from there. And just know that we're going to have some unhappy people. That's just why we get paid the big bucks. So. All right. So we have one more thing that was pulled, Mary, is that right?
Yes. And I recognize that this doesn't change, that the mayor and Metro Council have already approved the funding for the purchase of Hope Park land, but I was a little confused why this has not gone back before the Capital Committee when our final budget that the board voted on was allocated $4 million for this land purchase, and now we're spending 2.5 times that. We were told in the meeting that Metro Parks would be kind of sharing the costs with us, and so I think that could have made a difference in some of the discussion.
You're correct that when the discussions were held by the board, it was back in November, December, ultimately a board vote in January for the 6-year capital improvement budget. It included $4 million to purchase the Hope Park site property for the new Hillwood High School. And as you said, when the mayor recommended the capital spending plan, which was ultimately approved by the Metro Council, $10.2 million was allocated to Metro schools for the Hope Park site property for the new Hillwood High School. We did have discussions early on back in that November, December, January timeframe with the mayor's office and with Metro Finance regarding splitting out the cost between the school district and Metro Parks. That's why we included $4 million in our request that the board approved. We didn't have any further discussion or explanation before that $0.2 million was allocated to the school district. That doesn't mean necessarily that split can't happen in the future. Once maybe plans are finalized with Metro Parks, we've had situations in the past where between different Metro agencies, including schools, we would receive proceeds back for the use of Metro Schools property. It's happened fairly recently with some fire halls as well as some parks, and so that's something that could still happen. But as you said, we've not received any information or explanation regarding maybe it was just the easiest way to go at this point, just to allocate it, because it's all Metro capital money anyway, just to allocate it to the school district, and then once plans are finalized, split that out.
Okay, well, so there was not a reason for it to come back through capital?
Well, the funding was already allocated. The capital committee deals with requesting capital funding, and that decision had already been made by the mayor and the council, so there wasn't any reason for it to come back.
Any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Since we haven't voted, could I just ask one more question about TFA? I've been thinking about our discussions. But so my other question is, how much is the district paying per TFA teacher? Do we know, just not for the training, but for actually having a contract? Because it's my understanding, this was years ago, the state pays somewhere close to $10,000 per teacher, and I believe we paid, I might be making this up, but like $5,000 per teacher, and so.
That's correct.
Is that right?
I believe it is $5,000 per teacher. Ms. Story can respond.
It's $5,000 per teacher for 2 years because they receive individual coaching from TFA staff over that 2-year period.
Okay. And so I guess that's my concern. I feel like we're paying a lot for these teachers, whereas if we were just to give that money or utilize that money to hire teachers on our own and pay our teachers more, and we would get more qualified teachers. And so we're paying this with taxpayer money. I know we're not paying it, but the taxpayer money, we're paying state level, we're paying district level, and then now we're trying to pay to train them, or to help train their teachers. So that's my reservation.
And point well taken. There's a war on talent for teachers. Every school district that I talk to, they're having difficulty finding teachers. And so we're having to go to alternative routes and non-traditional people. Math teachers are hard to come by. We're really struggling this year for math teachers, special education. So we are having to look at other alternatives to staff our classrooms in addition to growing our own.
Thank you.
All right, so any more discussion, questions, or anything?
I have a question.
We're going to vote on each item that was pulled separately, and so as they appear on the agenda, the first one is 1F, recommended purchase of 247.7 acres of property, Hope Church site for new Hillward High School. So if I could get a motion in a second.
I move that we approve that item as written on the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, just one more question. Will we be getting a hard cost on the changes to the MTA stops that were needed to be changed for that location and the widening of the Highway 70?
I'll defer to Ms. Frog, but I believe that's being pursued by Council Lady Weiner and some state representatives. We can request that cost to come back. And I will mention also that Metro Public Properties had requested for us to include this item on this agenda. There was some concern regarding the sellers and having the closing date prior to July 20th, so I did want to mention that as well.
I'll just say that Councilwoman Sherry Weiner and I both met with the head of MTA this summer, and so there are discussions about moving the park and ride there. They're very interested in that particular location, and there haven't been further discussions, I don't think, on some of the other items, but I'm happy to report back to the board.
All right, so we have a motion and a second and discussion, and it's on your iPad to go ahead and vote.
Stone's Research.
Oh, that's the wrong one, Ms. Bovo. It should be 1F.
We've already voted on 4, haven't we?
Consent agenda, awarding purchases and contracts, we voted.
Okay. Okay, now it's on your iPad. Go ahead, if everyone would please cast their votes. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item that was pulled, and it was 1G4, STEM Prep Academy.
I move to approve STEM Prep Academy contract as written.
Can I get a second? All right.
Did it take long?
Talking to her? Oh, Joanne.
All right, we'll move along to the next one, which is 1G5, Teach for America, Inc. Motion?
I move that we approve the Teach for America contract as it's written in the consent agenda.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion on that? Okay, we can go ahead and vote on it. We're having technical difficulties. Yeah.
Sometimes the show of hands is quicker.
Much definitely. We need to work on that. Okay. Nope, that was, we're all here.
Oops.
I'm so sorry. Okay, no. Sorry.
Are we going to vote again on that one?
I fixed it, I think. Is that correct? Is everybody's vote correct?
Yeah.
If it's forward, it pass. I don't believe. You want to check with legal?
Corey's not here. Okay. So we have a legal question. With the quorum that we have, is this a pass or a fail?
Fail.
I believe y'all have taken the position in the past that you need a majority of all members, which would be 5 votes in order to pass. I think the default rule under Roberts is you just need a majority of those present to pass. So I'm not sure if you have a specific rule that would override that, but I know in the past you've required 5 votes in order to pass a motion.
Can you find that out for us?
Absolutely.
There's a state statute. We have to have a majority of the board, so it has to be 5. I actually have it somewhere.
Okay, all right, then that motion fails. All right, so we'll go to 1G6, University of Pittsburgh.
I move to approve the University of Pittsburgh contract as written on the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Ooh, I voted wrong. Hit the wrong button.
On here. Are we voting for it to be removed, or are we voting
To approve it.
Okay.
I mean, I've already voted. I just have a question about the Teach for America. Can we, the work's already been done. So we just essentially voted to not pay for work that they have already provided to the district.
Is that correct?
I'll ask Dr. Narcisse if you know if the work
Yes.
is, I know it's summer school, and we're here at July 11th, and these are federal Title I money.
Verbal contract
So
with them.
I'll ask you what the implications of this might be.
So the work is going on right now, and we're about to finish up summer school, so we'll have to take a look at the implications of the vote. But it's work that's already been going on. So. And, we've had a different set of funders as well as the district to help fund the summer school, because it was a need that we could not do internally, so.
I just want to say that that's problematic. It should be approved by the board before the work is begun, rather than going back and saying, you have to approve it because it's already been done. So that's problematic, and it's something we need to rectify.
We agree, yes. And there's multiple parts to the Teach for America summer school, so it's this particular component that we'll have to look at.
Everybody check the vote and make sure it's correct, and it appears that it is, okay? All right, and one more. We have item 1H.
Move to approve the revised 2017-18 district calendar as presented on the consent agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second. Sorry, I fell asleep.
Any further discussion on the calendar?
I would just like to amend the motion to say that I move to adopt the revised district calendar with an update from staff for accommodations that can be made for student safety and teacher requests.
Okay, well, we have to vote on the amendment that's on the board floor, and then we can vote on the
Okay.
amended. Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's confusing to me because I like that amendment. So if I vote, so I have to vote against my motion. Okay, thank you.
all right. Okay. So go ahead and vote on the first motion.
Sorry, that was horrible.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Thought about it. Okay. And that one fails. Okay. Now we can entertain an amended motion.
I move that we approve, I'm so sorry. I move that we approve the change of calendar with the caveat that we will hear an update from staff about accommodations and for teachers and for safety.
Second.
All right, any further discussion on that? Good, all right. We'll vote on the amended motion then.
Is there a date you want to hear the update by?
We can leave the date open because they may have it ready be even before the first meeting in August. Okay, very good.
May I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say kudos to Cameo for keeping up with this. This is not easy. Thank you, Cameo.
All right, we will go into our report section. Mr. Henson.
Thank you, Ms. Shepard. Dr. Joseph has asked me to read something to the board prior to the presentation. Good evening, members of the board. I wish I could be present at tonight's meeting, but as you know, I'm attending the Public Education Leadership Project at Harvard University this week with a team of leaders from MNPS, the Mayor's Office, our public libraries, our business community, and the Nashville Public Education Foundation to develop an implementation plan for our collaborative efforts to increase literacy achievement in Nashville. Team members have crafted a draft literacy plan, and we also are crafting a supplementary document in collaboration with the Nashville Public Education Foundation and Lipscomb University to clarify how other public agencies, nonprofit organizations in Nashville, and the philanthropic community can help us finally move the needle on improving early literacy for all students in Nashville. As we discuss our MAP-R data this evening, you will see that our collaboration is both timely and needed. As a reminder, you had the vision to approve my desire to secure a nationally normed, computer-adaptive interim assessment that provides timely and detailed information regarding students' reading skills. The test, known as the MAP-R, adapts by using a student's prior responses to select test items to administer that are appropriate for the student's level of achievement. Because it is adaptive and is grade level independent, this assessment provides valid and reliable growth data for students, whether they are on grade level, below grade level, or above grade level. It also provides teachers with information regarding each student's instructional level and skills and concepts students are ready to learn. We needed this type of assessment in Nashville because it will allow us to compare our students' growth to students' growth nationally. Last school year, we administered the assessment in January and in April to all 2nd through 8th grade students. This year, we will administer the assessment 3 times, with appropriate time for instruction to occur between assessments. We will spend considerable time training staff and communicating with students and families about our students' ongoing reading performance this year. We believe if teachers are able to understand their MAP-R data and are able to better align their instruction to their students' needs, achievement levels will improve. And without question, improvement in reading is needed in Nashville. The baseline data from this spring highlights the equity challenges that we have in our educational system. While non-economically disadvantaged and white students within MNPS exceed national averages in reading, all other student groups are below the average performance of students nationally. Tonight, you will hear from Dr. Paul Changus, and he will be able to answer questions related to what our MAP-R data is telling us. Over time, Dr. Changus will be able to provide us predictive data about how our students will perform on our TN Ready tests and important tests like the ACT. This will be an important year for us. What this data says to me is that we must do something very different in our classrooms and outside of our classrooms to ensure that our students are prepared to read critically. This year, we are investing in reading pilot programs, collaborating with the Council of the Great City Schools, and we will be researching reading programs that have been proven to be rigorous and aligned to standards that are as rigorous as Tennessee's revised reading standards. We will also be looking closely at how we use time in our schools to support students who are reading below expectations. We are devising plans to change the way we are maximizing our response to intervention times in our schools this year. And it will be critical for us to strengthen our approaches to first instruction and continue our partnerships with local universities like Lipscomb University to train our teachers on best instructional practices. It will also be important for us to listen to our teachers' voices and consider different approaches to supporting schools and their literacy practices with limited district resources. As previously communicated, the entire city must galvanize and coordinate resources to collectively impact students' reading performance. This data is a call to action for us, and we will aggressively answer that call. At this time, we will hear from Dr. Changus, our Executive Director of Research, Assessment, and Evaluation, to take a deeper look into our MAP-R baseline data. We will be delving deeper into the capacity of MAP-R data during upcoming Teaching and Learning Board Committee meetings to help you better understand the capacity of this assessment and how we will be using it as a district this school year. I look forward to having these discussions with you. At the end of this presentation, Dr. Changus will answer any questions you may have about our MAP-R data, and in the absence of Dr. Monique Felder, our Chief Academic Officer, who is attending PELP with me at Harvard, Dr. David Williams, our Executive Officer for Curriculum and Instruction, can address any curricular questions that may arise. I will turn the presentation over to Dr. Changus.
Thank you, Mr. Henson and members of the board. As Dr. Joseph's message indicated, this was the first year we administered the MAP assessments, and we did have 2 administrations this past year, and the data we'll be looking at will go over both of the winter and spring assessments. Dr. Joseph's message has addressed the fact that this is an adaptive test and efficiently measures student achievement. And he also addressed the fact that this gives us national normative data, not only in terms of whether our students are achieving at high levels relative to the rest of the nation, but are they making growth that's comparable to students nationwide.
academic growth with these assessments can be measured within a year and across years. We have longitudinal scales that will be able to allow us to look at growth over multiple years. And as his message indicated, we will have feedback on very specific skills and concepts that students are ready to learn. We have a learning continuum that our teachers are beginning to learn about with these assessments. The key findings from the data: achievement of our students as a group was below the national average. Both assessments, we were a little below the 50th percentile. Our academic growth was below the national average from winter to spring, which was a bit of a concern, of course, with our goal being to be the fastest growing urban district in America. We also know, though, that the time that we had between the winter and spring assessment was shorter than the national norm group. We had 10 instructional weeks compared to 12 national. Those instructional weeks also occurred during our 10 Ready assessment season, and these assessments at the end of the year were given after the 10 Ready assessment. But all that being said, we're not where we need to be. We saw significant disparities in reading achievement between subgroups and between schools, and we'll be looking at some of that data. And we'll see a very strong relationship between test scores and economic disadvantage, which is not a new situation. It's something we've been seeing with other assessments for decades. The first table I'm presenting here shows our students' number tested by grade level and across grades in the last row. For each of the test administrations, as well as the number of students who took both assessments. The RIT score is a scale that's used to track longitudinal progress. The most meaningful information, and we show the RIT scale both in terms of a mean or average for our students, and then a median, which is our middle student in the distribution of scores. Both approaches, means and medians, are attempt to identify the performance of our typical student at each grade level. The most meaningful information here is going to be the national percentile, shown as the NP. The median national percentile tells us how our typical child did relative to the nation. A score, for instance, at the second grade in the winter of a 39 indicates that in the wintertime, our typical second grader was outperforming 39% of students nationally. Again, 50 would be the national average, representing that our students were outscoring half of their peers at that grade level. We see at the second grade a slight drop to the 38th percentile in the spring, and then a growth percentile of 43, which indicates that our typical student made greater progress than 43% of students nationally, again, a little bit below the national average. We see that our growth percentiles are a little better at the second grade than they were in grades 3 through 8. Grades 3 through 8, those students also took the 10 Ready assessment right before this assessment, so that could be a bit of a factor. For all of the grade levels, we do see growth and achievement scores below the national average. This graph shows the performance of our students in groupings that we call quintiles. Nationally, 20% of students are going to appear in each quintile. The red line on this graph represents that 20% nationally. Quintile 1 on the far left would be those students scoring in the bottom 20% nationally, what we would consider our lowest group. Quintile 2 are those students in the low average group. 3 is your average group, slightly above or slightly below the 50th percentile. Then our high average, and then at the very top on the right, our high group of 81st percentile or higher. As you can see, for both administrations, we had more than the national average in the bottom quintile, and the number grew a little bit from 31% to 36% from winter to spring. We're a little bit below the national average for all of the other quintiles, including the area where we want to see improvement, the 4s and 5s on the upper end of the scale. And again, we saw a little bit of a decline at in the spring at the top of the scale. One thing I'll say about quintiles, Our teachers, our educators do have some experience with those, with the value-added assessment data that we get. Results are broken down by quintile so that we can look at, on our state assessments, whether our highest achieving students, our middle achieving, and our low achieving students are making gains equal to or below or above the state average. So some of our data warehouse reporting for instructional purposes is to look at past performance and where students are projected to be based on that past performance, and then look at our interim assessments like the MAP assessment to see if our students are progressing at a rate comparable to their peers. This table breaks down our results by student subgroup, but the top row shows all of our students, the combined results. And again, we're below the national average in both the winter and spring. 42nd percentile in the winter, a drop of about 5 percentile points to 37 in the spring. But as you look across the subgroups, either by ethnicity or by economic disadvantage, English learner status, students with disabilities, and compared to their counterparts, their non-economically disadvantaged, non-EL, non-SWD students, we see tremendous variation in the performance of our students, both with the median national percentiles and with the percentage of students in the top 3 quintiles. There should be 60% of students in quintiles 3, 4, and 5 nationally. And as you can see, overall, we fell short of that for all of our students in the winter and in the spring. But we do have a couple of subgroups that exceeded those numbers. Our white students, we see a national percentile of 63 in the winter, 60 in the spring, exceeding the 50th percentile. We see our non-economically disadvantaged students above the national average with a 58 and a 53. And our Asian students are at or above the 50th percentile on both tests. When we look at the percent of students in the top quintiles, the 3 through 5, again, we see white students and non-economically disadvantaged students exceeding the national average. But we also see that our economically disadvantaged students, our black students, and our Hispanic students results only show about roughly a third of our students that are scoring in those top, those average or above quintiles. When we look at our English learners and students with disabilities, only 1 in 6 students is reaching that standard. The next slide shows our data by quadrant and cluster, and going forward, we will continue to break our data down by these divisions. Again, we have the number tested, the median national percentile, and the percentage of students who fall into the top 3 quintiles. We also show the percentage of students by cluster and by quadrant who were test takers who were economically disadvantaged. And by economically disadvantaged, we're identifying students who were directly certified to qualify for free lunch services. We see considerable variation in the demographics of our students with regard to economic disadvantage. We see considerable variation in terms of the test scores. We do have some clusters scoring above the 50th percentile, and we have some others that are scoring below the 25th percentile. But if you look at the data in relationship to economic disadvantage, a very strong pattern arises, which becomes very clear when we look at our data in a graph form. Each of these dots represents one of our schools, each of these blue dots, or red dots. The red dots are our priority schools as identified by the Tennessee Department of Education. And clearly we see an inverse pattern that is our percent of students who are economically disadvantaged increases, our test scores, shown here as our median national percentile, decline. It's not a perfectly straight line, but it's a very strong relationship. There is some variation for schools that are comparable in economics, but there aren't many schools that are truly outliers in terms of this data. This once again points back to the message from Dr. Joseph earlier tonight that we have equity issues. We have some real challenges in terms of breaking these patterns with regard to the achievement gap. And again, these are patterns that are not new and we've seen with other assessments. Our next steps, we're going, as was indicated earlier, we're going to be administering both reading and math in grades 2 through 8 this year. We'll be doing that 3 times. It will serve as our universal screener for response to intervention in grades 2 through 8, so cutting down some redundancy that we had with the FAST assessments in those grades. We'll continue to use FAST in grades K and 1. We correlate the data when the 10 ready scores are here for grades 3 through 8 to start developing some predictive measures so that we can look at whether students are on track to reach on-track status or mastered status with those assessments. And those will be available to our schools and to our teachers on a student-by-student basis. We have considerable professional development to do to fully utilize these assessments. We rolled out professional development to our schools in the spring, but now we have growth data that's new. We will also have that predictive data pretty soon. And we're developing some parent-friendly reports for our parents and for our teachers as well. We have some very pretty reports that come out of the standard reporting, but they're not the easiest to read. So what we're working on is a report layout that'll pull in not only map data, but our 10 ready assessment data into a little more comprehensive summary for parents, and also to help them identify whether or not their child qualifies for such things as academic magnet schools, because that is not the most transparent process when we have multiple assessments. So with that being said, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Ms. Barron?
Thank you, Paul. What types of questions are students asked to consider on the map? Are they reading and answering questions about what they've read? Is it more of an isolated format, multiple choice? Help me understand what they're doing. They are multiple choice, and it varies a little, obviously, by grade level in terms of the content. But typically there are reading passages, and there are, on the reading portion of the test, there are going to be questions about what they've read, and definitions of the vocabulary will be assessed. In the lower grades, in grades 2 that we mandate, some schools chose to assess on their own on K and 1. There will be some questions related to concepts in print and just some very basic skills from students, but they are multiple choice assessments. How long are students, for example, in second grade, how long is the assessment for them?
Because these are adaptive, and they're not strictly timed, but most students are going to finish within an hour. In the lower grades, we have some distributions, but most students are going to finish in less than 45 minutes in those grades. But we do get an actual report that shows the amount of time that students took on the assessment. And I can tell you that we had about 4% of our students had finished in less than 15 minutes, which is not considered the most reliable measure. But it's not an unusually large number for these types of tests. But there are going to be some students, especially late in the year, that get frustrated and quit. But we can provide some data in terms of what the actual distributions look like by assessment.
Is this setting like baseline data for us, since this is the first time we've used the MAPR?
It certainly is, and while it's clear from the data, we have concerns, we have challenges, which are not new to us. This just confirms that. But I'd also like to add that a test in May was not an ideal situation. We started the process late this year, and moving to this assessment, we wanted to get an end-of-year assessment, especially given the fact that we knew 10 ready results were going to be late this year. And it gives us some data to start with. We're actually sending this information out to schools for those students who are mobile and have changed schools or have gone on to a new middle school or high school, that data will be sent to them this week, along with their universal screening data. So it gave us some information to start the year. But this coming year, we'll be testing. We won't be testing probably at the end of the year. We'll be testing 3 times at the very beginning of the year, late August, early September, November, and probably February, March, when there's still enough time before the state assessment to respond to the data.
Right. And my last question is, the second grade data looked better than 3rd through 8. And you said part of that could be because students in 3rd grade through 8th grade also took 10 ready, like back to back.
And again, this is a hypothesis, but the data, you know, we got a lot of feedback, and of course some of that is going to be anecdotal, but there's a little bit of a fatigue factor at the end of the year when you just come through 10 ready testing. And 10 ready testing was longer this year than it typically has been. It was multi-part. So given that the 2nd grade is the highest, that kind of supports the theory that was a factor for us. That being said, we don't want to discount the data that's in front of us, and from the results we saw in terms of the amount of time students took, I think it's pretty clear that most students did take this seriously.
Thank you, Paul.
Sandra.
So I'm concerned, I know this is the first time we've used this assessment, but I'm concerned about the dip in scores from winter to spring. So my question would be for other places that have used this assessment, have they seen that as well? And any types of assessments that we've used in the past, is that traditional?
Well, it's kind of hard to, first of all, let me answer the first part of the question. Nationally, when this test was normed in the group that we're comparing to, on average, and there is a window for each of these assessments, we have a couple of months to play with when we administer, but in the group that we're being compared to on the national norms, they had 2 more instructional weeks than we did. So that probably has something to do with the scores. That being said, we're not, we've got to make greater growth over time than we're seeing here. We've got to change that trajectory. So the time issue is one that going forward, we haven't had comparison data. You asked about other assessments. We typically have not given interim benchmarks after the state assessment. That won't be the case going forward either.
Okay, another question, just random. Do we know or do we have any ideas of any of the indicators that may have caused, I know you said time and then instruction, but that may have caused the dip in the score, so you may not. I know we have a fairly long period of spring break and other things that may have occurred, but just thinking ahead of what may have caused the dip in the scores.
Well, I don't want to jump to conclusions at this point, because now is the point where we look at the data that we've disaggregated, and we've always got to go back to schools. There are some schools, not a lot, but we had about a half dozen schools that both with regard to median national percentile, with regard to percent of kids in the top quintiles, that did show progress over that period of time. Now I think we start asking questions as to what might have differentiated those schools. We do hear a lot of anecdotal data about a loss of momentum at the end of the year, and we can't afford that after the state assessment.
Do you have anything?
I do. Paul, I could come camp out in your office and talk about this all day.
Well, we've got space for you anytime.
I'll be there. I do want to applaud Dr. Joseph and the team for doing these testing. I mean, this is a step in the right direction. It's part of, when he was interviewed talking about confronting the hard truths, and this is showing a hard truth, but certainly applaud the use of this and how we're going to learn from this and use the data that we do have. One thing that I will just say, I know that is a hypothesis, but even on the fatigue part, I want us to caution ourselves on using that too much, because kids in Nashville aren't the only ones tired at the end of a school year. Schools nationwide take state test and also do MAP. So, and I know my boys at a charter school took the map at the end of the school year. So I would also like to know, are we planning to ask the charters for their map data and just have that also be a window? I would like to see that. I know how my kids did. I know how our school's done, but I think it would be just another look at what's going on. And as far as the quintiles, you know that bothers me. And maybe it's not so much taking it in quartiles, but not lumping quintiles 3 through 5. That's a large range. We're starting to look at 41 to 100. And my hope is the 14-15% that actually score in the top quintile that we saw. I want us to be just as concerned if they dip back down to even 4, or if they drop to 3. I want us to be concerned about that too. And so when we aggregate it so broadly, it's hard to catch variances even like that along the way. I know that's important to parents as well, is to know you don't want to see your child take a step backwards at any point in these tests. So anyway, those are my thoughts. If we can going forward, disaggregate it a little more.
Well, a couple of comments, and first of all, I don't disagree with your comment about let's not make excuses in terms of fatigue or other things. While that certainly can be a factor, and I will say our state assessments tend to be a little longer than most. All that being said, that's the situation we face, and we've got to use that instructional time afterwards in the future. With regard to the disaggregations, I mentioned that we are going to be looking at our quintile data, not lumped together, but how our lowest achieving kids are doing by quintile relative to how they do on have they done historically on past assessments, to kind of monitor whether they're keeping that pace up. But eventually, for our reporting, we're going to move away from quintiles to, once we have the predictive piece later this year, our kids on track to be at the top group, which is going to be a very select group on these new assessments, what we call mastered. Are they on track to be what the state's calling on track, which used to be proficiency? Are they below, and so forth? So we're going to be following all of those groups. And I agree that we can't afford for a student at the top of the scale or the lower end of the scale to fall back at all. So we will have more detailed information. We can certainly provide the results to you broken down by quintile, by quartile, but it does get a bit overwhelming when you start looking at all of that data at one time. So this was a starting point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Changus. Anybody else? I just want to, this is real important work, and the results are less than dismal, in my personal opinion. Do we know what our next steps are, and as you said, changing the trajectory for these students that are not performing well?
Well, that's a big question, and I know David Williams is here, and I know that in Dr. Joseph's letter he mentioned a lot of the initiatives with regard to literacy. I can certainly speak to what we're trying to do on the data side to get the information in front of people, in front of our educators. But the key is what are classroom teachers doing with the data? That's the big piece.
Yes, ma'am. As Dr. Chang mentioned, the test was new, and so when we rolled out our training, back in the spring after our first administration, the data was new for everybody. So we're all sort of at this learning curve about what to do with the data. So as Dr. Chang is, the professional development will continue for our teachers. But also we're going to make sure that the curriculum instruction update meetings that will occur every month this year, as they did this past year, will include time to take a look at the data from the assessment and make sure that we are clear at every level, both school leaders and teachers, what the data is telling us and how to move forward with it. I think that one of the most pivotal things that we're doing in terms of supporting literacy is bringing on these literacy teacher development specialists at every school, and so they will be able to drive that instruction. We're looking at enhancing and supporting our curricular materials, the way that they're written. We're looking at improving our teacher quality, our quality of professional development. So we're also looking at improving our suite of assessments that we've done. So lots of different levels and lots of different areas. We're taking a really deep look at improving our work.
Yeah, I don't know how my colleagues feel, but I personally would be interested in having a work session around your work and just seeing what that looks like
Yes, ma'am.
at some point in time.
Love to.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I don't know that I heard if charter scores would be included.
Oh, I'm sorry. So there are some charters that have been using the MAP assessment, and it is an option for them to work through the district contract and to administer through our offices. There would be a per student cost that is comparable probably to what they're paying now or maybe discounted, but that is an option for charter schools.
Okay, so if they already administer it, I'm just saying, the ones who already do, are we planning to look at their data from this year?
Well, we generally don't have access to their data. They would need to work through our system and in order for us to have access to that data. We would love to have that data. I'll just put it that way,
Okay,
and they
maybe we
will
can
have the
work
option to work through
with
that.
Mr. Queen on that. Thanks.
All right, Ms. Burke.
Of course, the striking point in this data which is not surprising, is it's so heavily correlated with socioeconomics. So I am really hopeful that some of the work we're doing around equity now and the MNPS next will begin to address some of those underlying issues. I mean, there's obviously a lot we need to be doing as a district, but we need extra resources, extra support in those schools, greater socioeconomic diversity, and that is the biggest challenge to me. Because we have a school system serving over 70% low-income students, or 70% that qualify for free and reduced lunch. And so I think that's the bigger challenge, is figuring out how to get those extra supports, how to create more diversity in schools to benefit students, and then, of course, the instructional piece is something we need to have, that we all need to be, all these pieces need to be taking us in the same direction. So I appreciate the work that you are doing.
I would add one thing to what you just said, Ms. Frog, and that is, my response to Ms. Shepherd is, we have our lead literacy teacher development specialists, and we have 7 of those. So we have 3 at the secondary level and 4 at the elementary level, and their specific purpose is to be deployed to schools to provide that support. So we want to be strategic in that deployment, and that we'll use this data as one of those factors.
Thank you.
Let me ask a question about that. David, those lead coaches, will they be assigned by quadrants?
They are assigned by quadrants, and we're also mindful of the tiers that they support. And so when we take a look at the quadrants and then we look at the schools within those quadrants, we actually want to start triangulating all of the data that we have available and making really strategic decisions about the schools that they support. So I may have, for example, 30 schools in my quadrant. Can't support all 30, so to Ms. Frog's point, I want to be really strategic in which subset of those schools I do support intensively. And so we're in the process of making those decisions. Their first day was today, so we're really excited to have them. And we've got a lot of work to do to gear them up to get ready to start the school year.
Thank you.
That information. Thank you, gentlemen. Ms. Chair.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a hiring update. I'll ask Ms. Story if she'll come and provide that to you. You also have a hard copy of this PowerPoint presentation at your seat.
I'm not going to go through every single slide that's in your deck. We're going to try to keep this shorter, but we'll try to hit the
Microphone.
high points. So I'm sorry. We'll hit the high points for you. As you know, recruiting and retention is critical for us to hire great teachers in order for our kids to have quality education. And our teacher retention today is tracking the national average at about 84%. That's the national average, and we're tracking pretty close to that. We see the highest level of turnover with our first, second, and third year teachers. And that's not surprising, because I think that's what you probably find in just about any job. But when that happens with our teachers, that's really significant. MNPS outlines some major organization alignment steps to improve teacher retention in our 2015 Retaining Great Teachers report. And now we want to revisit that to give you an idea of where we are today. But before I do that, Sharon Patilla and I will be doing this presentation. But before I go into my portion, I'd like to provide you some demographic data. Okay, great. This particular slide gives you a view, a snapshot of the racial composite of our support and classified staff. Those numbers total about 13,000 employees. And as you can see, when you look at support staff, we have pretty close to equal black and white employees. Our Hispanic population is 179, and then the numbers decrease from there. For our certificated staff, our white population is 5,600 plus, and our black are 2,211. And then our Hispanic gets small, and the numbers continue to decrease. And then when you look at certificated admin, we're pretty close to equal for black and white in certificated administration, and then our numbers are pretty scarce for the others. These three people on the end, they're kind of outliers. They do some support work in for our charter schools. The next slide gives you a view of our central office makeup, our current active employees and those who were hired. We hired about 110 white employees. We hired 69 African American black employees, 15 Hispanic, and 10 Asian or Pacific Islanders, and one of the others. This next slide will give you a view of really a depiction of our geographic span of hiring across the system. We've gone as far as Puerto Rico and Honduras. We didn't go ourselves, but we recruited people from those countries, or from Puerto Rico and then from Honduras, to Florida up to Washington State. And so all the states in between are just about represented. So we have 270 people that we recruited outside of, or that came here from outside of Nashville or outside of Tennessee to work for MNPS. And that's 270 out of about 1,400.
You may want to advance the slide. So.
Okay, sorry. Okay, that's that slide. Okay, and then our teacher demographics. As you can see at the top, we have our staff is about 26% black. Our students are about 43% black. Our white teachers are 71%, and white students are 29%. Hispanic staff is 1.7%, but our Hispanic population is almost 24%. And then the numbers are much smaller after that. As you look at our age distribution across the district, you'll see that the largest population of our employees are between 24 and 44 years old. That's about 2/3 of our workforce are below baby boomer age. Okay. This next slide just gives you kind of a real quick view of our hiring over the past 2 school years. And as you can see, I'll show you, I'm going to fast forward and look at a more closer view of this current school year. As you can see, in July, we saw a significant spike, but that's only through July the 7th. That spike is going to get even bigger by the time the month is out, because we're feverishly hiring quite a few people. Okay. So our expected outcomes based on the 2015 report was threefold. One is to increase our district retention rate from 83.9, that was in the 14-15 school year, to 86.6 in this current school year. And then our retention of teachers, those with a level of effectiveness of 4 or 5, we want to increase from 89.6 to 92.8. And then our new teacher retention, those people who we're seeing that are exiting at a higher rate, we want that retention to go from 78.4 to 86.4. 6.1 this year. As we look at retention data, keep in mind that we're looking at August to August, August of 15 to August of 16, because what we want to see is who came in August of 15 and who was still here the next year, the next August. Okay, and how we define retention is by people either leaving their job, their specific teaching job, going from a substitute to a full-time teacher, or a teacher to administration. They could retire, or resign, or they're non-renewed. Okay, and here are some historical data on our retention. And keep in mind that the 2016-17 number is the highest number so far. We're tracking above the average, but that's just through 7/7 of 17. Okay. Here's another view. This is showing you the actual people who stayed. We had 82.5% that stayed, 774 that actually left the district, and 147 that changed positions. That's among all teachers. And then when you look at the first or second year teachers, you see that number went to 25, almost 26% that left the district. And then for those who have a level of excellence of 4 or 5, we were able to retain more of them, so that's a good thing. Okay? And we will not be able to provide you last school year's data until after school starts, and then we'll fill that in for you. Okay. Turnover. We lost in 2015, that was for the entire school year, 774 employees, and 147 employees changed positions. Through 7/7 of 17, we've lost 691, and 118 have changed positions. So we are tracking slightly lower right now, but keep in mind that's not for the entire school year. And this is a very interesting slide. It shows where we're losing the most of our teachers, the disciplines in which they teach. Exceptional ed, over 3 years, we've lost 203 of them. English, 163, and math, 152. These teachers are hard to come by, so we are going to be stepping up our game to figure out how to keep them with us and not go to other schools. Okay. And this is just another breakdown of that information. The librarians and teachers, 4,458 of them came back, 790 left, and then a smaller number changed positions. And so those are actual numbers to the right, and then the equivalent percentages to the left, and percentages to the right. Okay. And this is by tier. We had 2,195 of our teachers in elementary come back. We lost 353. High school, 1,038, lost 196. Middle school, 875, we lost 187, and that's a much larger percentage than we would like to lose. And so then we have the percentages on the right. Okay. Our separations by a level of effectiveness, we didn't have many people that rated 1, and we didn't have many that leave. Our teachers who are rated 2, we had fewer of them leave, and fewer of our rated 5 leave. But we're seeing the greatest losses in 3 and 4 rated teachers. Okay. And then the slide, the graph to the right will show you the level and the percentage by tier. And I'm going to turn it over to Sharon Pertiller.
Thank you, Deborah.
and thank you guys for allowing me to share this information with you. So, Deborah shared some information regarding retention. And so what I'd like to discuss is why. Why are our teachers leaving at those rates? Our new teachers, those with 1 to 2 years of experience, they're most likely to leave based on feedback that they provided. Over 50% of the teachers who left the district had less than 3 years of experience. So what are we doing about that? What are we doing? So we do have some retention initiatives, and those initiatives include the new Teacher Academy, because based on feedback that they're providing, they're not receiving the supports that they need. So last year we implemented the new Teacher Academy. It was the first year, and it was a big success. Last year, NTA was voluntary. So those new teachers that came to the district or were rehired to the district, they had the option of whether or not they attended the new Teacher Academy to provide them with information to get them inducted and introduced into or reintroduced into MNPS. So what we did this year was, as a team, we decided if we're getting favorable feedback, because those individuals we've seen that participated in NTA, they're more likely to stay, and they hadn't resigned. So again, it's going to take more than just 1 or 2 years to see if it's really working, but the feedback that we received was really good. So this year, it's going to be mandatory. Any new teacher that's hired or rehired into MNPS will be required to attend a 3-day session of the new Teacher Academy. So in addition to taking the feedback that we've heard from leaders, we also took feedback from those teachers, and again, they said that they needed some supports and they'd like to be able to get together. This past school year, we had 2 meetups. We had one in the fall and one in the spring. Based on that feedback, the favorable feedback, we're introducing 2 for this year for each semester. So they'll have a meetup after their first month to see how they're doing, just check and provide them with an opportunity to connect. And each of the new teachers will be assigned like a mentor. And those mentors are going to be voluntary. They're going to be veteran teachers. So they will have a table facilitator for 8 to 10 folks where those teachers will be able to reach out and go. So again, MNPS sent the exit survey to all of our teachers. And keep in mind that our response was limited. The rates were low. Out of 790 teachers who left the district, only 110 of those responded to the survey. So we should exercise caution in drawing conclusions from the data that we have, but we do have some data. We plan to implement a more robust exit survey to be administered to all departing staff. Reason being is that our parapros and our support staff, they play an integral part to student growth and development as well as other staff. So teachers cited, based on that exit survey data, teachers cited a number of reasons for leaving, whether it was personal or whether it was to go to another job, but that was the highest, was personal reasons. And about 33% of those that responded said that they were dissatisfied with the administration or the culture. And just like data shows, more than not, individuals leave a leader and not a particular organization. The least cited were the tangibles, like you would think that maybe they left because I'm leaving because of pay, but that was the least cited reason for leaving. also, about 59% of those respondents, they left for another job, whether that was another teaching job, whether that was with a neighboring district or out of state. And about 20% of the respondents said that they left to go back to school. So some of the key points as far as what concerns are within talent strategy, and based on some of the feedback that we've received within our own department, is we have a concern that we do not have an automated process, a straightforward process to calculate staff retention, turnover. It's always timely. We don't have an HRIS system, and we have roughly about 13,000 employees, and we seem to be going back and trying to gather this information. We do know that we're going live with R12, but that's going to be 2 years out. So what are we going to do about that? So we know that we need to develop clear business definitions for logging movement within the district, who transferred, who was promoted, having codes, and so on. We're trying to work to obtain that, as well as using reporting deadlines and having Q&A sessions so that people can provide us with feedback, creating definitive timelines, and to develop a robust system for gathering exit information. This is sort of kind of like a duplicate, just sharing that we are going to develop business rules, log movement, try and get the most that we can out of AppleTrack FileBound, just to make sure that this data is available regarding turnover and retention. So again, what are our outcomes? As stated in the report, we want to increase the district retention from 83.9% to 86.6%, and increase retention of the teachers with a level of effectiveness score of 4 or 5 from 89% to 92%, and increase new teacher retention from 78% to 86.1%. You guys have any questions?
Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you for this report. I do have a few questions. Are the teachers who have requested to transfer within the district included in this type of reporting, or is that like an analysis of?
It was included in there the best we can, because again, we don't track all that movement. So we're having to maintain a static report so we can go back and see. So we captured it to the best that we could, and it was in there where it said, the orange was the district movement.
Okay. Okay. And then are you all looking at other urban districts to compare this type of movement and retention to see, is this normal, or what are they doing to try to retain their teachers? Incentive for the hard to hire teachers, is this common in other places that they're finding it hard to hire math teachers? Or
As a matter of fact, earlier this year, I attended the Council on Great City Schools conference, and I was surprised that every school that reported there was having similar problems to us. That made me feel a little better, but knowing that everybody else, and that's why I mentioned that there's a war on talent, that everybody else is out there looking for the same pool of talent, we have to get really creative about how do we attract them to us. Yeah, and I think the one thing we have to do is love them. They gotta know we care about them, and having our new organizational development division where we provide more supports to our school system, I think that's going to help a lot as well.
Okay, and I have one other question. On page 4, the central office employees chart, I added all those numbers up and got 1,632. Is that correct? I mean, I know some of these positions are out serving in schools, but that's like a 1 to 48 ratio if you use our district student enrollment. Is that a lot of entrance? Is that what you're saying? That they go to?
It includes that 10.
Okay. Okay. That just looked like a really high number of central office staff.
Additionally, some of the movement that we've seen when we're looking at the inter-district transfers is that our teachers tend to gravitate towards those higher performing schools, and they're leaving those schools where the kids could really use our help the most. That's why it's really important to make sure that we do get those additional supports for those schools.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for your presentations today. I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to just focus on a couple. The exit surveys. What can we do and what have you done in order to secure the exit, secure that teachers complete that exit survey? That's really dismal numbers, isn't it?
Want to speak to that?
I do. I know that it has increased over the past couple of months compared to how it was over the past three years. We're trying to create more transparency and try and have the open lines of communication, because people, when they leave, their first thought is, I don't want to burn any bridges. And so when they're leaving and they're doing the exit survey, unfortunately, sometimes we don't find out that they're leaving until over the summer, and we don't have an opportunity to get that information to conduct the exit survey. What we have decided to do is to possibly partner with a consultant that maybe they can make a phone call versus them doing the electronic survey online. And how many days was it that they said up to?
They say you don't want to take more than 45 days to do the exit interview, but if you do it immediately after the exit, you're probably not going to get the real reason why they're leaving. And so they said somewhere between 2 weeks and less than 45 days to make contact with former employees to get the real reason why they decided to leave. Mm-hmm.
And they're more apt to respond to a third party than someone within MNPS. They may tell that individual that is neutral and unbiased exactly what their thoughts are. And they may be more likely to take a phone call from a person than to just go and type this online.
And would they be given assurance that that would be confidential information?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said that that these responses need to be taken with a grain of salt. But my sense of this is that we need to look carefully at this. The fact that school culture was the third reason, and that seems consistent with what I hear. The fact that there is some teacher experience of lack of teacher voice. The fact that professional growth is not at the level that some teachers would appreciate. So I'd like to know how HR is going to take this data and begin to make changes. And maybe it can't be done completely with HR, but certainly share that with curriculum instruction, teaching and learning, so that we can begin to think more perhaps creatively and substantially about how to retain our teachers.
I was just going to say that I totally agree with you guys. I just wanted you to know that it was such a small number that to allow a few to speak for all, but what they said spoke volumes. So what we are doing is really trying to partner with those leaders in the school to help improve culture climate, to provide those additional supports and mechanisms that they feel as though would make them feel valued and inducted into the organization. You were ready to say something?
A key component of organizational development is principal development, because they set the tone for the school. So if we can provide them enough support and training on how to be even better leaders, I think that will help with the culture.
I love what you said about it's important that teachers feel loved and teachers feel respected. And sometimes we have rules that are important, but I'd rather call them guidelines, because as soon as we call them rules, it's like, don't break the rules. But if they're guidelines, then that creates a space for looking at specific circumstances that would require a teacher to need leave, for example, at the end of the year, when generally that's not approved. But there are situations that you and I talked about that would warrant consideration, that sometimes principals are thinking, you know, I want to follow the rules, and yet at the same time, when you actually sit down and think about what this teacher is asking, and they've got 30, 35 days of sick leave, but they've got a kid that's graduating from high school, from college, and a grandchild being born, those are life-changing situations. And to have to come to a board member to help them with that seems rash, that we could be more respectful of situations that affect teachers' lives. Thank you.
Ms. Bode?
I have so many thoughts about this, but first I want to say I really appreciate the fact that you all are trying to dig into why teachers are actually leaving, and you're conducting surveys, and so I appreciate that. I mean, the obvious problem is pay, which wasn't really reflected as well in that survey. I wonder about the validity of that particular pool, as you mentioned, because it's so small. But there's a recent report saying that it costs $70,000, around $70,000 live in Nashville now, and obviously that's not what our teachers are making.
Yeah.
So when I saw those slides, I thought, the teachers, the long-term teachers bought before the housing boom. The new teachers probably can't afford to buy anything, and the rents are so high now. So I wonder if that's more of a factor than was actually reflected in the surveys, and we won't know that unless teachers start answering the surveys as they're leaving. So obviously pay is a big piece that we have got to address as a board. I think everybody's aware of that, and we're always under financial constraints, but that's something we need to deal with in our upcoming budgets. I would say the teacher evaluations are a big piece of the problem, because we have basically created a situation where we're disincentivizing teachers from going into the priority schools because they're being rated on these test scores that often reflect socioeconomics. And so when you've got a really high poverty school, that's going to negatively impact their evaluation. So I wish we could change that. I know that's a state level issue, but I think it bears mentioning. And then I really think the biggest issue for a lot of people is just all of the standardized testing, the loss of autonomy, all of these so-called reforms that we've been trying to experiment with unqualified politicians, sort of creating the atmosphere around teaching. The privatization efforts have created greater inequities within the schools. They've created this failing school, failing teacher narrative, and we're really scapegoating teachers. So I totally understand why teachers really, they don't have a lot of control. They don't get paid. They are scapegoated constantly, nationally. I'm not saying you all are doing that. We're doing our best. So there's a lot we can do within the system, but I think if we can address pay and make this a really desirable place to work, if we could, I've said this for 5 years, but if we could start working on the teacher evaluation and make it a fair evaluation, that is a state level issue, and if we can reduce testing, that would make us so, I think, desirable, to as much as we can within the limits that are constraints at the state level. But if we could reduce testing, that would set us apart as unique and give the teachers more leeway and the work they're doing, and more respect in the work they're doing. But anyway, I appreciate what you all are doing. I just felt the need to mention those issues.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
I would have to agree with my colleagues. If I had to guess, I would say that teacher pay is probably the biggest reason we're having difficulty retaining teachers. The cost of living in Nashville is so high. I think teachers love to teach kids, but it's just to live. They have to live as well. So my greatest question is, just looking at all of this data that you've given to us, we appreciate it. But if you were to just give us a synopsis of the things that you feel have been your greatest accomplishments this year, just kind of say what you think those things are. I'm pleased with the work that you've done. I know you've worked very, very hard to get a lot done, but just what do you think has been your greatest accomplishments?
Well, I think this it may not seem like it's great, but I think it's going to help our retention. It isn't now, but before now, if a teacher was non-renewed, they were not eligible for rehire. Just point blank, if you were not renewed, you were not eligible for rehire, which didn't make sense since there's this lack of teachers. If they hadn't done something egregious or broken some major, policy or law, they are eligible to come back. So that to me is going to help us keep more of our teachers. We're still working on fine-tuning our processes because we didn't have many. And as a result, you found things were inconsistently done. And so we're trying to rein that in and be more consistent. We're being more intentional about recruiting as opposed to waiting for candidates to come to us. Going to more colleges, doing things like virtual job fairs. Sharon can tell you about her speed dating.
Over there, I'm like, I'm sorry about that. It's just really cool.
Speed interviewing. You can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. We partnered with different leaders within MNPS principals to give them an opportunity. The most important one, I think, was for just our certificated and our support employees to allow them to sign up to come and be interviewed. And that's what we're getting ready to do again. Another big accomplishment, I think, is just having the ability to focus on some of this data and creating a mechanism so we can say that this is credible, reliable data, and having a point, because AffleTrack doesn't allow you to go in or FileBound or PBS and run an effective data report. We onboarded a part-time analytics person that helped us gather this information and to create vacancy reports and different things like that to help us see and get a real snapshot of where we are. I'm also proud that because of Dr. Joseph, Cito, Dr. Narcisse, the leadership team and the board, we have onboarded recruiters, and we're able to free up our HR partners so that they can be there, and so that not only do the principals and leadership know who the go-to person is, so do the staff and the employees. Are like, oh, I didn't know I had an advocate, so they're there to help them navigate through this process, because your first year teaching, you're just trying to get by, and so to know who you'll have a question, and again, that new teacher academy and assigning each of those new teachers that attend a table facilitator, a veteran teacher. I can go to you and ask a question versus going to my principal and feeling as though I don't know what to do. So those are just some of the things that I think are major accomplishments for us this year.
And
So that's a lot.
I'm sure we missed some because we're just about getting the work done,
Right.
not checking the box. So I'm sure we missed something really significant.
That's great. I think when I look at the teacher retention from 15-16 to 17-18, I would just tell us we've done a great job, because I'll pat us on the back for that. So, but thank you so much.
Ms. Perry?
Thank you. What universities in Nashville or in surrounding areas of Nashville is that in here and I missed it? Where are we
That
getting the
wasn't-
majority of
we did not. We did not.
Could you get that information to us?
We sure can.
Okay.
Because we partner with just about all of them. We have
Yeah.
pretty significant partnerships with them, too.
It looks like the majority of our teachers this past year came from Kentucky. So did you do a lot of recruiting in Kentucky?
Very
how did-
minimal. But the interesting thing is, we have a lot of our teachers going to Kentucky.
And Florida is the second largest state that we recruited from. So that's interesting to me.
We did go to Florida.
Okay, you did go to Florida. Okay, and was that Alabama?
Went to
Did you go to
Alabama.
Alabama? Georgia?
Not Georgia. Did we go to Georgia? I don't think.
We did go to Georgia,
did,
and we'd love to share some more stuff with you, but we want to reverence your time and everybody else's, so I'd love to talk to you separately one by one if you'd like.
It'd be great to have a committee meeting about this because there is so much interest at the board level. And one more question, and I'm going to be quiet. Recruiting this past year happened, looks like at a larger pace in January, but still nowhere close to what some of the most successful districts are doing. Some of the most successful districts have most of their teachers hired by March. And our largest recruiting or at least hiring time again is July. Is that accurate? So are we trying to? I know you haven't. How long have you been in this job, Deborah?
I've been here 9 months, and she's been here 7.
Yeah. So we realize that you guys are new on the job, but personally, I would like to see us get ahead of the game and. I can tell by your response that you want that too.
We need to start in the fall.
Yes.
Because the early bird gets the worm.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
There's a lot of competition out there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have just a couple comments. So on page 22, you talk about the retention initiatives, and I think it's really important to note 2 things. One, that you're increasing the new teacher academies to twice in each semester and making it mandatory, because I think whether you realize it or not, as a new employee, no matter what industry you're in, you need a little bit of TLC when you're coming on board. And secondly, the mentor piece. Several years back, I got to visit in China, and that was one of my main takeaways of that. It was in the Guangzhou province. They assign mentors, and I'm talking like for 10 years, to new teachers that come on board, so they can, and sometimes they co-teach, and they always have that seasoned veteran teacher that can help them when they get to a sticky spot they don't know how to address. So, or move the needle for their students, or whatever the case might be. So I think those 2 things are real important, and I'm glad to see the mentor piece in there, because if you're a college grad and you're going into a classroom, especially maybe in a priority school or something, you are overwhelmed the day you walk in that door. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay. Are the mentors assigned to the teachers for a full year, or is that just for a short amount of time? For the full year. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Mr. Hanson.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask Dr. Tony Majors to come and report on school climate and behavioral management.
Very rich.
Yes.
Well, good afternoon. First of all, I know that we're way over time for this board presentation, but there are really 3 key things I want to cover in relation to school climate and behavior management. One, I want to sort of let you know what transpired this past year during the transition. I also want to make sure I sort of baseline show you what were the data outcomes as it relates to school climate measures that we're effectively measuring and reporting on tonight, and discipline, as well as talk about where we're going. With Dr. Joseph's arrival and his new administrative team, we are completely aligned to the work in student services to make sure that we are supporting the new community superintendent structure, as well as the strategic plan. And I want to start there, but before I even do that, I want to end with something that Ms. Frog said at the end of Dr. Chankas's presentation. It's all connected. academic performance, socioeconomic trends, student health, student discipline, teacher retention, it is all connected. We're going to do a much better job moving forward of bridging the gaps between those connections to make sure we have systems level change. So I want to look at the high level actions for the strategic plan, and pretty much we are targeting some of the high level actions in each of the broad categories. So for students, we're establishing positive culture and climate, responding to pre-K through 12 student needs, physical, social, and emotional. For the parent strand, we're building capacity through parents building capacity through implementation of a professional learning program that provides training, coaching, and that's our people, mentoring and performance management. For the organization, creating a collaborative culture of data analysis and accountability, which is something we'll talk about shortly. And for the community, actively engaging the community. We do that very well in programs such as Passage, Community Achieves, and others, but there is an area that we do need to improve upon. So a recap of 2016, I think the biggest shift is that Student Services now reports to Dr. Narcisse. So we're bridging that gap between those that supervise principals in school-based programming and the support services that take place within schools. So I think that is one of the biggest shifts. The second biggest shift is school counseling in the social emotional learning department did move to student support services, which greatly improved our productivity by having someone in every school full-time to coordinate with. We did implement restorative practices on a voluntary basis the last 2 years. I am going to spend some time talking about that later because there has been some real misperception around restorative practices and how it's being implemented in the district. We implemented a collaborative referral process that resulted in 2,000 more students being identified as being in need of support services. The department developed a systems of social-emotional learning implementation plan that includes the response to intervention behavior management model, which previously aligned to the state's RTIB model, but now we are rolling out what's called a multi-tiered systems of support that includes both academic and the social-emotional learning work, which you'll hear more about as well. Meetings were held with all cluster principals this spring, and this is significant. What we found is that 50% of our schools did not have a school-wide behavior management plan that they were implementing with fidelity, that all staff members truly understood what the expectations were surrounding student behavior and behavior management. So by meeting with our cluster principals, we were able to actually show them their data, have them look through the data, look at trend patterns, which I'm going to sort of walk you through a very quick exercise of what that looked like, and then make an informed decision for what their school-wide behavior management model would be going forward. And the district also established the 3 Tier 1 behavior management programs that we could support internally. So we don't have to leverage a great deal of funding for external contractors to come in and provide training because we have certified trainers here in the district that can do that work. And again, our department is completely aligned with the new quadrant-based superintendent structure. So one of the things I will say, we did hear some very alarming data this afternoon, but I will say there are some positives. And we're going to start with the end of the year discipline data for this past year. Across the board for all subgroups as well as for all students, we did see a reduction in the number of students receiving suspension, including African Americans, Latinos, and others. What I will tell you is, unfortunately, the disparity gap does exist, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But one thing I also want to do is help control the narrative around the MNPS student. Many feel that a large percentage of our students are receiving exclusionary consequences, or a large percentage of our students are having behavior incidents. If you look in red at the bottom, the reality is that 81% of MNPS students did not have a behavior incident recorded at all this past school year. Of those that did, 7.8% of them received an exclusionary consequence. In a district our size, is 18% and 7% still high numbers in terms of actual students? Of course it is. So we do have work to do. But the reality is the greatest majority of our students are in class trying to learn, trying to do the right thing. And we need to be very proactive and transparent in responding to those that are having behavioral difficulties. But as I stated, the disparity does exist. When you look at the percentage of minorities enrolled, they are still highly or overly represented for students receiving exclusionary consequences, including expulsion and suspension, but also they have a high representation rate for students having behavior incidents in correlation to their population. And at the bottom, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. As we work to reduce disparities, we must seek to understand why students are having disciplinary issues, their triggers, trends, level of prevention, intervention, and the instructional level, all while maintaining equitable discipline practices. This gets directly to that teacher retention piece. What type of training are we providing for our staff so that they can respond to students that are experiencing adverse childhood experiences or certain levels of trauma or just need a timeout? Those are the types of conversations we're starting to have with our principals, and that training will be rolled out to our staff already beginning this past summer, but also rolling over the next 3 years. So when I said we did some informed decision work with our informed data analysis with our cluster principals, it began with something like this. We're actually breaking all of our data down, first by quadrant and then by cluster, and we're looking at trends. I've highlighted a few to give you a better idea of how we look at data and then how we help to communicate with the principals to come up with what their tier 1 and supplemental trainings could or should be. So you look at the blue, repeated violations. You will find across all clusters and all quadrants, repeated violations of a type 1 or type 2 is pretty consistent within their top 4 behavior incidents. What that actually tells us is, or it forces us to ask the question, if students are repeatedly violating the same types of behaviors or same patterns of behaviors, what type of interventions are in place? What are the expectations? What's the school level response before an exclusionary consequence is being issued? And then how are teachers trained to what those expectations are for implementation? When you see what you see in red, non-compliance with the administrative directive, as you will also see, went the wrong way. Can somebody help me out? Wrong button. Okay, there we go. As you'll also see for the southeast quadrant in red, inappropriate physical contact. Both non-compliance with administrative directive and inappropriate physical contact are examples of personal-to-personal relationship issues. Either the individual does not know how to navigate or mitigate conflict, or there is a personality conflict that could result to violence. It could result in being very disrespectful and defying authority to profanity and other outcomes. All of those require a very different response. If a school has a high level of non-compliance with administrative directive, then we've got to have a conversation about what the expectations are in the building, what are the consequences when a student refuses, and what are the options to an exclusion. If it's inappropriate physical contact, we're having a very different conversation, because if it's a high incident rate of violence and fighting, then we're having to look at some very different approaches regarding conflict resolution and the high rates of trauma and anger that may be exhibited within that student population. As I mentioned earlier, the collaborative referral process, we implemented it last year, and we started that process. But at the end of this year, we actually had a 47% increase in the number of students that have been referred to additional support services. And that's generated by any member of the faculty. If you suspect that Cito is having some family issues, he may not be acting out, he may not be having any disciplinary issues, but you notice there's a change in Cito's behavior. You can generate a collaborative referral by sending that to your school counselor. The school counselor then vets that referral, determines, is this a short-time, one-time thing that I can deal with, or is this a symbol of maybe there's some abuse, some neglect, some abandonment, some mental health issues in the home? Maybe it should go to a social worker or to an outside service provider. That increase has really kept my staff really busy, but it's also allowed us to really reach some kids that are having some traumatic experiences in their life and have led to some very positive outcomes. But when we do make that referral, who does that referral go to? 23% of those referrals stay with the school counselor, while 40% go to our social workers, 7% to STARS, 3% are handled by our truancy specialists, 4% go to Vanderbilt, 3% go to other providers, 7% are handled by our own behavior analysts. Behavior analysts are really unique because not only can they serve 10% of their caseload in direct service for our Tier 3 students, which are our most in need, they also provide direct training on classroom management, trauma-informed schools, and other trainings for our teachers. And Centerstone, which is one of our contracted providers, as well as Mental Health Cooperative. So school climate reform moving forward. The multi-tiered system of support is basically an alignment between our RTI, response to intervention for instruction, and behavior. We have to get away from everyone viewing instructional practices and classroom management practices as separate entities. They're the same entity. So if we don't have organized, structured, and controlled classrooms, we're negatively impacting instruction. So we've rolled out the multi-tiered systems of support model, and you look right there at the top where it says data-based decision-making. That is the process we spent the spring in, working with our principals, reviewing their data, making informed decisions. I'm going to focus on the social-emotional learning side for the remainder of the presentation, but in year one, our priority is for all school principals and admin teams to identify, be trained in, and begin implementing their Tier 1 behavior management model. It will take us 3 to 4 years to train all 6,000 plus certified, and I don't know how many support employees we do have, but our goal for year 1 this summer is for all school administrative teams to be trained. So that process is taking place already, and we've seen some very positive outcomes for schools that piloted early and were early adopters, and I'll show you some of that data in just a little while. But before I said there's a misperception on what the district's behavior management plan is. We are moving towards 3 models that we feel meet the needs of MNPS students, but we have the capacity to implement, and they are PBIS, positive behavior in schools, restorative practices, and SEL foundations. In attend to the tier 1 model that each school has selected, each principal has identified 2 to 4 supplemental trainings, which if you will look at your handouts where it begins with Tier 1, it shows the Tier 1 models that we're prepared to endorse as a school system, what those commitments are, what the expectations are, what they're designed to serve, but also you'll see an extensive list of supplemental trainings that my department is prepared to provide. That covers everything from implicit and explicit bias to effective questioning to adverse childhood experiences and so on and so forth. So there are multiple trainings that are there for our principals and staffs to take advantage of. This year, we're really focusing on internal capacity building. So all schools are required, as stated for the first time, a school-wide behavior management program. And it could be one of those 3. And as you can see, these are the models that have been selected by school, by tier. So you can look at the restorative practices column. You can see 11 elementary, 16 middle, and 11 high have decided to implement restorative practices as their Tier 1. But 34 elementaries have chosen SEL foundations, and 27 elementary have chosen PBIS as their school-wide model. And that was based on what they felt best met their needs. This year, we have added an executive director of student discipline. In the past, I've done that as well as lead the other divisions within my department. That executive director will focus on the discipline monitoring, the passage initiative, managing the transitions in and out of ALCs, as well as helping to work with the community superintendents and I around best practices and discipline trends that we're seeing. We assigned our counselors, our lead counselors and lead social workers by quadrant. Our ultimate goal there was to have 4 of each. Because of budget constraints, we could only do 2. So they would be serving north and south. Next year, we do intend to add 1 for every quadrant. Provide a summer professional development on restorative practices, PBIS, and SEL. All those are taking place now. And I'll show you the numbers for some of the trainings that have taken place. We are also spending the summer cross-training our department so that not only does the behavior analyst is an expert in PBIS, they can also train on restorative, or they can train on trauma-informed schools, so we don't have to outsource for our trainings, and continue to coordinate with other departments to implement the MTSS structure. One of the things that we did implement this past year that's proven to be extremely successful was the SEL walkthrough. The SEL walkthrough is not only successful for us, it is being replicated with CASEL nationally as a means of helping schools baseline and get an ongoing measurement on how SEL is being implemented within their schools. We conducted 65 in-depth SEL walkthroughs with a formative school-level conference at the end to go through recommendations, trends, and provide other information. 28 district-level snapshot walkthroughs, which is to do just that. It's a quick hit. This is what we saw. This is what we felt. This is what we heard. This is our report. From the school-level walkthroughs, we were able to create a tailored plan to address specific areas of focus and need. So individual schools, some of them had us work with them to say, this is your step 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we sat down with those school teams to help develop that plan. We also used that information to help inform the district as to what type of training models we needed to have prepared to implement to help meet the needs at the instructional level. Indicators of success early on. Fall Hamilton chose to implement the trauma-informed school model as part of their Tier 1. So trauma-informed schools was their supplemental. They saw a 70% reduction in disciplinary referrals, 71% of those reduction in local discipline. That's just disciplinary practices that did not result in exclusion from the school. There was 1 incident of ISS, an 89% reduction, and 9 incidents from 5 students resulting in OSS. That's a 43% reduction. And their staff went full school trauma-informed schools work Every staff member understands the trauma-informed schools model, and they were able to greatly reduce their exclusionary, not only their incidents, but also the use of exclusion. Una Elementary chose to use the SEL Foundations work. They saw a 33.3% improvement in student behavior, and they increased their score on every section of the walkthrough rubric after receiving the training. The key is the outcome was based on the training, the expectations, and the structure. And that's what we're trying to get to across all of our schools. Everyone has to go through the process to implement with fidelity. Restorative practices, again, a lot of people talked about restorative, but the reality is we didn't make restorative required in the district until this upcoming school year. So in the past, we had one staff person assigned to restorative. Even though it was voluntary, we had 509 teachers and staff trained, 45 of those being administrators, but only 2 or 3 schools were actually implementing at some degree of fidelity in 2015 and 16. This past year, we did add 4 restorative specialists, and now they are assigned by quadrant, so we have someone at every quadrant providing the restorative practices support. 600 teachers have been trained this year, 109 administrators. We worked with 39 schools at different levels of capacity. So in your packet of information, you have a handout that's just your restorative practices information. It shows by school what level of implementation, what level they are implementing the restorative model, which schools we worked with, and in which capacity. This past year, we had 4 schools that were fully implementing, 12 partial, 16 were just beginning, and 7 were just informational sessions with schools that were interested in the restorative model. You can see the cohort of schools there. I'm not going to read those for you, and you also see at what levels some different schools are implementing. One thing I will tell you is it was really interesting is Glencliff High School and Antioch Middle. Glencliff High School and Antioch Middle chose to take the restorative model and take it a step level by engaging their students in the restorative work. So now they're having what we call restorative peace teams that started at Glencliff, and those students are actually helping to mitigate some of the school level issues with the administrative team and instructional staff. That had actually moved on to Antioch Middle, and now they're doing it at the middle school level. And they're seeing outstanding results, and I know other schools are looking to replicate that work because it did build the student buy-in with the teacher buy-in, and they did start seeing the results early on. Now, when you look at restorative practices, since, again, there was so much attention being placed on it, across the schools that implemented with fidelity, which are Napier, Margaret Allen, Jerry Baxter, and Hillsborough, all with the exception of Hillsborough saw a reduction in the number of incidents. I can't tell you definitively why Hillsborough saw an increase in the number of incidents, but even with the increase in the number of incidents, the rate of suspension declined significantly across all schools. That's because there is another layer before you go to exclusion. That is the expectation of implementing the restorative practices model. The student must be a part of the resolution. They must understand the harm they've done to themselves, to the other individual or the victim, and to that community, and be willing to be a participant in the resolution to heal the harm. So it never means that there's not a consequence. You have never heard me say there won't be a consequence of misbehavior. There will be times when students will be suspended. There will be times when students will have to be expelled. We want to substantially reduce those incidents and the outcome by helping to work with our students, onboarding our community, onboarding our staff to become more proactive and responsive to student needs so we don't have the high incident rate that we're seeing right now in some schools. So the commitments that we're making, all school administrative teams will be trained over the summer, as we've already spoken about. We will supplement professional development offered over the summer and throughout the school year on classroom management, comp, mindfulness, trauma, and all the things that you have in your packet. We will work with the MO's office, the Office of Organizational Development, to establish a performance management system that monitors school climate monthly. We have not decided on what our external reporting process is going to be for that, but one of the components of SEL that's really powerful is if we're monitoring school climate on a regular basis, we need to promote those findings on a regular basis. So one of the things we will be doing this year is trying to determine how we're going to promote our school level SEL walkthrough or school level climate indicators to parents and to the community. To continue to work with other departments to improve the timeliness and quality of services provided. Over the next 3 years, train our faculty and staff, and to continue to align the work of Passage, Community Achieves, United for Hope, and many of our other, including Alignment Nashville, external partnerships and programs to this work so that we're all working towards the same outcomes because to Ms. Froeg's point, it's all connected. Health committees are going to impact chronic absenteeism, which is going to impact academic performance. Student behavior and mental health is going to impact teacher retention, academic performance, and school climate. So until we have a comprehensive way of saying that academic outcomes are directly impacted by social factors and school climate factors, and we're all working together, we won't reach the performance levels that we hope. But I think we're greatly moving in that direction because we are making those alignments. Limitations are really simple. The demands being placed on my staff are getting to a critical pace. We actually have some social workers and counselors that are working off a 1 to 100 caseload, so the internal capacity to continue to provide the level of training support is a concern, and that can only be handled through next year's budget process. Turnover of staff and school administration is a concern. If we've invested time in the training and they understand the model, and then we have someone else come in, we have to retrain those individuals. And administrative churn. Keeping our administrators in place so that they fully understand and implement the model and help drive that culture in that building is critical. Staff understanding of how to enter discipline incidents and responses correctly. We did identify this as a major barrier this year, just because all staff didn't understand how to implement the progressive discipline matrix in the code of conduct appropriately, so there were some issues of miscoding. Commitment to school climate and culture reform, you're seeing that by me being here tonight, as well as by previous comments made by Dr. Narcisse and others, and Dr. Joseph, about school climate and culture being prioritized as a district strategy. And then messaging. There are consequences for misbehavior, but there must be a clear expectation if we are to achieve equitable disciplinary practices and a positive culture in all of our schools. So that message is what I want everyone to leave with tonight, that while there will be consequences, we are really working to not only reduce the exclusion and harsh consequences responses for kids, we want to actually be more responsive so we reduce the number of incidents taking place on the front end. And the only way we can do that is by really meeting kids based on their needs early in the process. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, questions, comments? Ms. Pierce?
I think we're all blurry-eyed, but I'll go fast. Okay. Thank you, Tony. One thing I want to just say thank you for, I really like how there are 3 different options and the principals are getting to choose from those options. I really like that there's not like, this is what you're going to do. And then the other thing is I would love to see examples of the 3, just email, just like, I don't know if there's like a sheet or something that goes along with it. And then do have a question, just kind of what you said there at the end about trying not to have the harsher consequences first. I had to work with a family really in the summer, and your student handbook was so helpful, by the way. It was so easy for me to help her walk through and see the responses. And I know the appeals process deals with suspensions greater than 10 days. What is the process for something much less, like even an in-school suspension or a 1 day that a parent just cannot quite get their head around?
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliments. The reality is the way Tennessee state law is written around discipline, it only becomes appealable when it falls into the category of expulsion, which begins at the 11th day. Anything under 11 days is at principal discretion. Now, we are building in some safeguards with the community superintendent and the EDSI structure in my department so that we're trying to catch inappropriate applications of discipline early in the process and then be able to track that early in the process. Right now, the first step is to appeal to the principal. If you cannot seek a resolution with the principal, the next step is to appeal to their EDSI, and then if you're not satisfied there, then you appeal to their community superintendent. The next appeal, while we haven't discussed this yet, will probably either be to me or to Dr. Narcisse.
Even if it's something lower?
Even if it's less than 10, but it is right now that is still at principal's discretion, but it's basically the parent is lodging a complaint against the principal based on a disciplinary incident.
Gotcha.
And that's the way it'd have to be handled at this point.
Okay. And then just the other thing that I do hope that there's an avenue for teachers to be able to give really sincere feedback, because I haven't talked to a teacher who doesn't understand the thought behind these practices, but I have talked to some who feel really, it's probably this whole training. They just don't feel like what to do, so they don't feel like they can do anything.
And to be completely honest with you, that we knew that last year. This year, we had to spend time on getting the structure in place to figure out what are we training teachers on, and then how do we deliver it to get to the large number of staff that we have. The training is the biggest piece. I met a single teacher that says they don't feel that students aren't negatively impacted by trauma in the home or in the community. They all get it. They're teachers. They want to help the kids. The reality is they don't know how to provide that assistance, and most importantly, they often don't recognize the warning signs of when that child is starting to exhibit those triggers, that trauma. And then all the time, the teacher's not the one that needs to be providing the response. Our teachers still have to teach. If Tony Majors is having a high-end mental health moment, the math teacher probably doesn't need to be trying to talk me down right there in the middle of the classroom. But that's what the school counselor or the social worker is for. So they do need to know how to access that staff, but they also need to understand what's the appropriate initial response so I don't elevate or escalate the situation, and then how do I quickly meet Tony's needs so that I can continue instruction and Tony can get what he needs.
And the rest of the class.
True.
Thank you.
I sent Dr. Severe so many questions over the weekend, and I'm not going to bother you with those right now, but I do
I saw all of them.
I'm so sorry. But this is really important. Like, I think no matter what our teachers are doing and all of us here, I think behavior is the greatest impactor on what we're not seeing in our data and what we're seeing in teacher retention. If we can just get the behavior component right, and when you say it all ties in together, like, you have a big job. So I'm really not. We'll talk later. I love you. Thank you. That's it. Only because I love you.
Ms. Brooke? No. Turning one question and two questions, actually. I missed it. What does the acronym PBIS stand for?
Positive behavior in schools.
Oh, well, that was a no-brainer. And I noticed on one of the charts that you had that one of our folks that we work with is STARS.
Mm-hmm.
Do we do any work at all with the Oasis Center?
STARS is out of the Oasis
That's
Center.
what I thought. Okay, all right. Because I had the opportunity to visit, and they do some great work over there.
We pretty much work with every program that STARS offers. And STARS is the co-chair. Tom over Oasis Center is the co-chair of Passage. So,
Right. Thank you very much. That was very informative. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry you had to go at the last of 27-page reports. But anyway, it's important information, so we appreciate your being here.
welcome.
All right, we'll move on to committee reports, and starting with governance. Ms. Froh?
Yes, we held a governance meeting immediately prior to this meeting, and we voted to engage the Tennessee School Board Association to help us in updating and rewriting our policies to make them more effective, and that concludes my report. That's it.
Well, and so the next one is the director evaluation. In the absence of my colleagues, Mr. Pinkston and Dr. Gentry, I'll go ahead and give it, it's a short and sweet. We had a director's evaluation committee meeting before we had the governance committee meeting, and we, just for the purpose of making the decision to go with the proposal from Croft and Just, is that right? Cross and Justice, and then engaging their help around not only a director of schools evaluation tool, but also for a board evaluation tool, which is something we've never, ever done before. So the outcome may be really interesting. Mm-hmm. So our next steps around that vote is to have the proposal go to the Gary Ackenfelder's office, and then hopefully it will be on our consent agenda on August 8th for a board vote and discussion. That concludes that report. We'll go with announcements. You want to start with Ms. Pierce?
It's really quick, just a reminder to come meet the new principal of Weston Middle, Dr. Russell Young, this Thursday the 13th at 5 o'clock. And then the following Monday, July 17th, come to Aiken at 5 o'clock to meet Dr. Matthew Nelson.
We're getting along so well. Aren't you all proud of us?
Spirit?
Yes. On Thursday of this week, which is July 13th, at 1 o'clock at the Madison Precinct, our community leaders will had the opportunity to meet our community superintendents, and that will be at the Madison Precinct at 1 o'clock. There will be a second meeting for those who can't make it on Thursday, and that will occur on July the 24th at noon. Thank you.
Ms. Bode.
Following our recent discussion with our attorneys, I would like to bring notice of my intent to discuss joining the Shelby County lawsuit for adequate school funding at a future meeting.
Okay, thank you. I have two, save the date, Wednesday, August the 16th, from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Hermitage Police Precinct. We will be hosting a meet and greet for the new community superintendent for the McGavitt Cluster, Dr. David Caffey. And secondly, it's summertime, folks, so we do not have a second meeting in July, so enjoy the rest of the month.
Can I make one comment?
Yes, sir.
And tonight is Hank Clay's last school board meeting, and I want to thank him for all of his service on behalf of the school district. Thank you, Hank.
Ms. Pierce, and will you dismiss us?
I will dismiss us, but I wish that I had said more to you, Hank. Hank has been invaluable. You'll really be missed. So we know you'll be working alongside us with communities and schools, and congratulations on that big next step. So be there no further business. This meeting is adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.